Hello and welcome, Race Brain Podcast. My name is Rich Ryan. Joining me, as always, Bracken Crocker. Late, as typical, will be Jack Bauer. This is one of those give an inch, take a mile scenarios, Bracken. Jack's like, hey, can we push the start time back every single week? And we're like, yeah, that's no problem. Now he's late anyway, even though we've done that.
Yeah, and I'm not one to talk because I roll in right at the time or right after for many things in my life. But if you request an extra half hour, you can't be the same amount of time late.
You can't keep pushing it back. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. But he's going to show up.
Real job. Couple friends talking about stuff that like 1/1000th of the planet cares about.
My guy needs to get his priorities in order because he's all twisted up. Today, we have a lot to talk about. World's Toughest Mudder to recap. Greece Trifecta to recap. Then we're going to do a little bit of drafting for Hyrox Chicago. I'm in there. I'm taking me. I don't care what pick I have. I'm doing. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll figure that whole thing out.
I have a proposal.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's serious or not, but I think we draft first.
Sometimes
sometimes the only way to drive home the point and get people to care is that they have to get burned by their actions. And if Jack's not here to draft, he's going to just get a dumpster fire of a team.
He gets the we auto draft for him, just like
we auto draft
random people who've done Hyrox in the past, not even that are in the Elite 15.
Yeah, it's people who have qualified but didn't declare.
One time my aunt drafted Chad Jackson instead of Chad Johnson back then. Chad Jackson, I think, was like a third stringer on the Pats, dude. So it could be that type of thing.
Yeah, it's pretty common.
That happens. So were you locked into to either of these things? I mean, the Trifecta seemed harder to watch than we were hoping. I was locked into the results. I was following that along. Same with World's Toughest. Like we talked about before, like just watching a live stream of something like that, it's a little bit disjointed. It's a little bit hard to figure out what's going on. But I was following it as much as possible. I was following Matt at ORM. He was over there, and I'm sure he's going to have a ton of content later on. But right now, in terms of what I've had a chance to consume, it's basically been the story through the results.
I had, outside of surgeries, I had my least active weekend of my entire adult life.
Nice.
I've PR'd. I watched only running all weekend long. I turned on the live stream 30 minutes before the race started and sat there waiting for it to go live at 11:30
for World's Toughest.
For World's Toughest, and Lisa and I shut it off at like 11:45 that night.
What?
And then I checked in throughout the night every time I woke up, and then crack of dawn the next morning had it back on. And at like probably like 7 p.m., I turned to her. She came into the room. She had left for like 2 minutes, came back to the room. I said, "You can turn something else on. I'll put this on my tablet." She said, "I'm invested. Don't you dare change this."
You guys were locked in.
And like our kids, Callie stayed here before at our house.
Right.
And so our kids know and love Callie. And so they're locked in because they get to see Callie. It blows their mind that their buddy is on TV, on YouTube. For them, YouTube's like the ultimate channel.
That's true.
Yeah, we were locked in. Plus New York Marathon, plus Trifecta.
Yes.
I just did nothing. And then football and NASCAR. I did nothing but watch TV all weekend long. I was on the couch for like 48 hours.
Feels good sometimes.
Wild. So anyways, I got it all.
Well, let's start at World's Toughest then, since you consumed that the most.
Everything.
We'll run through the top 10. We'll start on the female side. Chris Rugloski taking it down for the second year in a row. Kelly Schweikart finishing second. Stephanie Bland third. Nikki Caromba. Jenny Overstreet was fifth. Robin Costas was sixth. Katie Knight seventh. Sarah Tucker eighth. Melissa Linden ninth. And Corinne Colin in 10th. So not a tremendous surprise at the top. We figured that would be the case. Chris has been the cream of the crop when it comes to basically any type of OCR endeavor, especially anything that involves ultra distance. But Kelly Schweikart was finished with the same exact total of miles as Chris this time, both finishing with 90. So where do you want to start, BK?
I think I'm going to start with a disclaimer. which is that I believe these miles lie. I think of all the years of World's Toughest, these miles are the least indicative of the work they did out on course. I was first made aware of this by Ian Floyd, chatting with him. He was out there.
Mhm.
Shout out to our guy, Ian Floyd. And then checking in with a couple people afterwards. It seems like this was the course with the most mileage spent doing penalty loops.
Really?
He was talking 400 to 800 meter penalty loops with a penalty in the loop. And so he said Cali was way over 100 miles
of like when
total distance.
So I'm sure if people have their watch running this entire time,
Yeah,
right, you can get a general idea.
And usually you get a few miles extra.
No matter
she was
what.
over 100.
She was.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And what did she hit on race day?
It said 90.
So she was like 10, 11, 12, maybe more. I don't know her exact measurement, but she was over 10 miles of just penalty loops.
Wow.
And so everything that's on there, and we kind of wonder, like, why did Chris not get 100? Because you expect so much out of her. Why did some of these people get less this year, even though weather was better? It was because the penalties were so long and taxing. Oftentimes in the past, it was a penalty or a penalty loop, and they combined many of those together into penalty loops with a penalty in the middle of it. So I think that there's an asterisk on these results, that like Austin's result is up there with some of the best we've ever seen, as are Kelly's and Chris's.
For someone like Austin, though, who is so sure gripped, right? True. Like this could be a reason why he did end up in the front.
Yeah.
What were the penalties for, and what were they like? Where were they? Any idea? Because I mean, World Stuff it's hard to have like a real record on these, because they do change things. Like they have those like fast lap type of things, or you have like you know, it was like, what is it, where you accumulated like tokens or something at some point, and like things change every year, so it's really not a race that you can look at and be like, oh, this based off of results is the best performance we've ever seen. It really is dependent on the year, the venue, and what they decided to do with it.
It gets you ballpark, but you're that point about Austin is correct, in that this course rewarded more than maybe any other course ever, except for the really cold, wet courses. It rewarded not failing, because the disparity between a penalty this year and other years was higher. And so him going through and failing probably very little all race saved him miles of running rather than minutes of running. And I think it was part of some of the, sorry to cut you off, I think it's part of why we saw some people just stop moving throughout the night. What we saw is that obstacles opened later than usual. They were still building and completing obstacles as the race started. So the rollout was later, but then when it hit, suddenly people were experiencing these loops, 20 extra minutes on course, just on loops. And they started getting just down on themselves, that I can't catch up on mileage and I'm only going backwards. And I think that's why you saw people not going back out. You saw people sitting on 50, 60, 70 miles for hours, because it wasn't the cold. It was just depressing, the distance they had to cover.
Were there obstacles like last year where they had that funky monkey with the banana thing with the big reach where literally everyone failed? Were there obstacles that were that challenging this year where there really wasn't an option to get through it?
I don't know. And I don't know who would know other than the people who are there, because even though the coverage was the best coverage I've ever seen for World's Toughest, it's inherently limited. You can only be in so many spots at once. And so they would focus on an obstacle for 5, 10, 30 minutes, and then you get a different view somewhere else. And it was dependent on signal and lighting. So we didn't see the majority of the obstacles. There were bananas hanging on a rig, and you could see that everyone on screen was failing them, but we didn't get to see Austin go through it. I don't know if I ever saw Austin go through it. Right. We saw some people pass it, but it looked like once they got slick, the reach wasn't crazy. It was just really difficult on people.
I believe Austin was the only athlete who was able to complete it last year. And I think he only did it once or twice, and nobody else could do it. So I mean, even if they changed that, it just seems like a really, really challenging scenario. And with it being long penalty loops, I could see it just being demoralizing.
Not all of them were, but many of them were. I think the penalty for that is you had to run across to a field and pound a wooden stake into the ground to a certain depth, and then get it back out.
And then pull it out.
Yeah, but you're using a mallet, and it was tough to get it out. And so it was just grip penalty for a grip obstacle.
Right.
I like.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a good disclaimer on this. Is like the results that we're seeing in terms of the number that might not tell the exact story, but that is a lot of what this race does, right? It pushes you to those mental limits, not just physically of what you can do in terms of like ultra running, where it is just one single modality. It's just keep moving forward, and when it gets hard, you can't really mentally escape that. For this, it just seems like the literal obstacles messing with your head, and then having those big penalties on top. So seems pretty miserable.
I think that this course, this event is the closest to the line that you can get between OCR and Goofy Games. I think this is as close as you can push it to the line without stepping over, because it is built upon getting you to your breaking point and then find out who you are, which is the premise of all the military inspired competitions and camps out there. Is to we don't care how good you are at things normally. We want to find out what can you do once we remove all your skills. And I think this does the best job of that we've seen, of doing it in a way that's still truly and wholly a competition without going into just like bizarro land.
Right. They're not fighting each other.
No,
which is good. Not yet. Who knows who's going to buy who and what this thing will eventually become.
Could you imagine though, is because Callie lost by an hour and 2 minutes, I think 102 or 104,
something like that. Yeah. 102.
So if Chris had to wait at the finish line for her and then they wrestled for who won.
Imagine being how do you pronounce the guy? I got to say Michael Schott.
I think they went with Shoot.
Imagine being Michael Shoot finishing in second, getting 100 miles. Then Austin Azar sitting there waiting for you, 200 pounds of beast, and just ready to pin you to the ground. Yeah,
you're about to DNF.
That's not what you want. So on the women's side, I mean, like Callie is definitely. I think Callie is one of the bigger stories on here. Last year, she made some mistakes in terms of how she was approaching the cold and when to kind of get a wetsuit on and when to how to kind of manage those type of feelings. And that kind of knocked her out earlier than anticipated.
Yeah.
So she took an early lead, like pretty commanding. And we were talking offline, but online, I was nervous. I was like, I don't love that she's already winning. That's not a place that you want to be this early. And so being able to hang on into second, she knew what she was doing. You know, she's plugged in.
She wasn't just winning. She was like 12 minutes ahead. And then I thought, if I'm recall, it's all a jumble now. So in hindsight, I might be wrong when people are listening to this. I thought she hit a 20-minute lead at one point.
Maybe.
That is outrageous. And I think the comment was, no one belongs ahead of Chris ever in this race.
Right.
Until like 2 a.m. Like, if you want to do well, you don't go out faster than the person who is the world record holder.
Right.
The world best. I don't think you'd say world record holder, but the fact that she went out and then proved herself right, because she faded for a bit. She got caught. It moved into second. And then she got caught again into third.
Oh, really?
And then she worked back overnight. And we don't see that a lot. Same thing with Shoot. Shoot took like a 3 hour and 26-minute pit, which is usually that's me signing off. That's it. And then he came back and then started running 1.0s when people were running 120s, 130s. He ran like 107, 109, and suddenly was right back up in it and then closed it out and took second. There were some people that bet on themselves in an aggressive way, and it worked. And Callie was the prime example. She knew more of her staying power than we believed she had.
Well, let's welcome Jack in here, showing up a cool 14 minutes late, but that's all right. We're glad to have you.
I was up till 4 a.m. finishing a project, and
that's normal time. I'm not concerned about how early in the morning you're awake.
When your homework doesn't get done.
You guys can bash me all you want. I'm not in the mood for that right now. After what I've
well, in your defense, you do look like hell.
It has been a rough day.
Go get some sleep.
I got to talk with you guys.
You do. Yeah. You have to.
Oh, man.
We can't
let
this
Jack before.
I'm not taking it today.
You got a race on Saturday, dude. You need to get that rest. You need to get rest
sleep.
Right. You need to get your rest right. It's an early morning race for our guy too.
Yeah, I'm basically gonna have to flip 24-hour sleep schedule, and which
No,
athletes did this past week. Yeah,
let's just stay up. I'm with you. I'll
Do it.
stay up with you.
I think it's a great idea.
We'll nap after
We'll do it
together.
So
anyway,
how do we think we're talking? We started with Callie, Jack, but I guess in terms of BK, those instances that you brought up with Michael Schutz and Callie kind of fading and coming back, do we think the weather had something to do with athletes' ability to do that? Where in the past, where it's so cold, like being able to gear up and go and run well later, like mentally and physically, is more of a challenge. Where this seemed like it was relatively pleasant in the nighttime parts. Like, is that something we could deduce from this, or is it just people being more fit, more dialed in, knowing how to do this thing?
Well, it's all of it. Every year, people get better at the task. There's more athletes posting their training plans, talking about it on podcasts, coaching each other, more experience. And yeah, they're running bigger volume than anyone's used to run prepping for this. Like, it used to be unheard of. Young Pack was the only guy who would run 100-mile weeks to prep for this. Now it's like DJ Fox runs 100 every week of his entire life at altitude with vert. I guess, and he didn't race, but like that's what the whole camp out there does. And so they're way more prepared. But the weather is everything. We've talked about, like, you can recover from fueling. You can recover even from cramping. You can recover from a lot of things. Once you go pre-hypothermic or hypothermic, you don't recover. The recovery process is hours,
right,
rather than minutes. And so that ability was big. And also, I really do think the big penalty loops played into it. That people could be like, I have such a gap to make up. This is going to take me 4 laps to make up 30 minutes. And then suddenly I made up 22 minutes that lap. All right, I'm back in it. And that just a little sliver of hope in a grueling race is sometimes everything.
I like the point that you brought up about is it shot or shoot?
We don't know.
Okay.
I liked it when she was saying Michael Scott. That was my favorite, but they were saying shoot towards the end.
Shoot. Okay.
We're going to go with shoot.
Because I know, like, Signe, who we talked about her on the OCR draft. She has that same, like, O with the slash in it. And I think it's more like an type of sound. I might be wrong. That's just how I was hearing it. So I don't know. We'll go with Michael Scott just to keep it simple. But anyway, yeah, I think his strategy was, you nailed it right there. It's like taking that rest, and then he comes out and feels alive. It's like that was just, I don't know if I've seen athletes take a 3-hour pit stop at any point and do it. You've seen, like, all right, I need a 30-minute power nap. And usually when you see that, you're like, it's done. Like, other people are moving, you are stationary. You cannot catch up to them because it's impossible to run down someone with a 30 to 60 minute head start that late in the race. So what he did was incredible to end up matching.
What I want to know, and maybe he's talked about it already, but I haven't heard it yet, is what was the mindset? Was this a, hey, I'm doing my thing, this is my plan, I'm sticking to it? Or did he pit and just say, forget it,
sleep,
I need a rest? Or did he quit and then wake up and decide, I can do it again? There are a couple of ways that could have gone, and I am really interested to hear what actually transpired in those 3 hours and 26 minutes that led to that comeback.
Are people going to try it again or next year? Like, after seeing that you can reach 100 with that method?
I think it makes sense for cold years a lot, actually.
Yeah, real warm. That'd be hard.
Like,
I mean, after getting warm, thinking about going and getting cold is probably harder. You know,
once you need a real big carrot and a real big stick. You need a special crew.
For sure. Let me run through the men's real quick because we talked about the women's results for the top 10. So we had Austin Azar taking it down for the Great North. Michael Schutz, Joe Rucco was third. Josh Fiore was fourth. Christian Brown Johnson was fifth. And sixth, Matt Gill. Seventh was Brant Baller. Eighth was Isaac Sanderson. Ninth, Grant Thompson. And 10th was Jay Fettig.
Got a question about Austin. Is he the most or second most versatile athlete in our domain right now?
On the men's or across the board?
Either.
Men's, he's I mean,
is he more than Ryland? Like, that's the only one that I can compare. Everyone historically has been like, oh, Atkins is the most versatile, but he hasn't done an ultra OCR since 2019 when he did the 24-hour there.
Or hybrid.
And he doesn't dabble with hybrid. So it's like, as much as you'd like to think, he's not. And then, Hunter, obviously his dominance in hybrid, but he came and he's done like one obstacle race in the past 5-6 years, and he got like 7th or 8th at San Luis Obispo. So he's not in contention there anymore. I think it could be Austin.
The narrative up until this point is that everyone knows Austin's just an all-around man. He can do it all and will do it all and happily does it all and politely do it all. And we all love him for it. But like, he doesn't scare anyone in any one venue. When he showed up to the 3K, he did well, but no one was like, oh, shoot, Austin's on the line, because he's not like blazing fast. And then he shows up to Hyrox and no one was like, oh, crap, Austin's here. But he does really well because he's just like a strong man. And he shows up to World's Toughest. No one's like, oh man, Austin's here. He's going to like blow us out of the water. We know he's going to do well. And we know he's going to be moving in the last 6 hours. But now he finally has that big, sexy performance. That's like, he has a calling card now. He was always jack of all trades, master of none, but he mastered one now. So I think that he's the best of the active range. He has the best active range. I think we all know Ryan Atkins. Everyone's a placeholder for Atkins should he decide to try ultras again. But currently, take a snapshot right now. No one's got a better resume right now.
Or in the past few years. But yeah.
I would say Gaudet could match it.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that.
Veerman could match it without the Hyrox.
Yeah.
Because they're scarier at every running distance than he is. But he would put them into the ground in Hyrox.
Yeah.
That is a good question, Jack. I guess like Rylan is to the short distance of OCR and hybrid to what Austin is in the longer distance, right? So like it depends on which direction you go, because I don't see Austin beating or like doing that well in shorter things in terms of his versatility, but maybe I'm wrong. I think he has a decent Deca stronger mile, right?
He's sub 12.
Yeah. So maybe. It's a good question.
So if we take World's Toughest first out and make it a third, then it gets real murky. I feel like Rylan will have a world best from 10 minutes all the way up to like 90 minutes minus Hyrox.
Rylan's not getting third or second at Trifecta, or Austin is not getting third or second at Trifecta World Championship the same weekend.
Probably not.
But Austin can go short, but then he can obviously drag people to deep waters.
Yeah. And to argue your point, Bracken, you said, what if it's a second or third? Let's just look at the mileage. How many people on the planet right now are going 60 point for Hyrox, sub 11 or sub 12 for Deca Strong, and over 100 miles for World's Toughest Mudder? I don't know. No one.
It's his own club. His own club will have to make up for him.
So he gets it right now.
He has the crown.
If they go out today.
Yeah, let's make this a category for okras. Like the high fat,
there should be a Range Rover award.
I'm with it if we can get a sponsorship.
Oh, I like that name. Yeah, Range Rover.
No, it needs to be. That's free advertising. Let me reach out.
I'll send a Matchbox car.
Let me reach out.
We gotta send stuff out this year.
So it's a better. Here's a sticker.
Checks are in the mail, dude. What are you talking about?
What's the best I guess thing that you've got? Like whenever I go on Scott the Fane Knowles podcast, he sends out some stickers, so that's kind of cool.
That's nice.
A couple of other ones give out stickers as well. Rich, you have been nice in the past.
I will send out nothing.
Yeah,
I will not go to the post office. Anything that requires me going to the post office, not gonna happen. It's super easy to go to the post office, but I just don't.
Office.
Really, man, maybe she should.
I hate it.
We can see it from here.
Ah, nice.
Bracken over there anytime.
The nearest one for me is on 8th Street, which is probably the one you used to go to. That one just takes forever to go to.
Yeah, plus you might get shot on 8th Street.
It's not 8th Street isn't bad.
Or stabbed. 8th Street's a dividing line.
In the Walmart parking lot. I'll give you that. But not near the post office side. That's not bad.
All right.
Anyway.
Any other stories on the women's end? I mean, we didn't really talk about Chris too much because this isn't really a surprise, but she is the only, what was there, 5 or 6 athletes who have done this twice? Mm-hmm. It's Atkins, Trevor, Rhea, Amelia.
Nice, Rhea. Yep. Pack did not. Juliana Sproles, Deanna Blegg is not. Stephanie Bishop hasn't. She might be the 5th
She might be the 5th.
Katie Knight hasn't, like, you've had a lot of multiple podium people, but wins, I think she's now in a very limited rare air.
Well, and she did it in a year that I think it's difficult, where there isn't a other co-favorite to throw your battling with. Like Katie Knight would be the other co-favorite, but Katie Knight hasn't been on any race course that I can think of recently, and didn't really, like, she ran the first couple laps with her, but when she won, she went for it. Didn't look like she really went for it. I think returning to an ultra event, having already had your best possible moment in one like 24-hour experience, having to get up for it again as the favorite is one of the most difficult races on the planet to repeat as, because now you just know how bad it's going to be, but the first time buzz is gone and now people expect something. So I think that's really difficult to do.
And for Chris, this was a race that she wasn't even sure she was going to do this season, as they weren't very forthcoming about the prize money that kind of came late.
It was low. Yeah.
In terms of just like the mental preparation, I mean, physically she's going to be ready generally when we're talking about Chris, but the mental part and like wrapping your head around what this means has to be a little bit more of a challenge. So real quick, Jen Young Pak did win twice. He won 11 and 12.
And 12, you're right.
Amelia won 3 times, 12, 14, 15. So Chris needs to match that one, has one more time to match that. But if no one's ever done 3 consecutive.
Solo.
Why do you always try to bring teams up in this?
I'm just verifying. Because
this is team week.
That ain't...
When Atkins and Albin ran together as a team and had the most mileage that year, it's like, and he's the one carrying Albin in that case. That's a win. But anyway,
we ain't talking about teams for the event that has no teams. There's
teams are like practice.
Yeah.
Teams are practice now.
I'm talking about
practice.
Yes. So that's just a note on Chris, right? Like, again, not surprising, but that she is now in a rare club, and if she chooses to come back next year, she has something to accomplish that nobody else has ever accomplished in winning it 3 in a row. Are we surprised about Katie Knight's finish in 7th? After finishing 1st and then 2nd.
Second, yeah.
Still 3 top 10 finishes in 3 years and 2 on the podium. To me, it's just like they're not all going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's not surprising at all, and it has nothing to do with her. It's just the fact that this isn't an event where you just show up with capacity and capacity wins. There's so many reasons. My grandma, before she died, she gave Lisa and I a piece of advice. So this is the only relationship advice I ever give anyone. She said, every couple will find a reason to get divorced. Everyone will just have a really good reason. It's just whether you choose to even explore it or not. It's like, you're not unique if suddenly like, oh my God, this could lead to it. And that's what an ultra is. Every single person will have a reason to quit, a really good reason. And it'll make a lot of sense at the moment. It's just whether you explore it or not. And so it's not just, I have the greatest aerobic capacity or anaerobic capacity or VO2 max, and so I win as long as I execute. Like, that only takes you a few hours. So it never surprises me when anyone does poorly at these, because it almost seems like you're defying the odds to do well in the first place.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Schutt almost had a perfect race for the first 80% of it, and then, stuff goes wrong, and he happened to be the exception to the rule where he came back and did it. But you can nail it in a 24-hour event, but that extra 15-20% that you don't nail is hours where other people are making progress. So there are just so many variables that can go wrong. It's so difficult to repeat.
Watching New York, where the commentators at one point were like, and they just had such a long event to stay focused for. And I thought, you know what? It is. But having just watched World's Toughest, this is cute because they had to sit there in the bad zone for like 15, 18 hours. There's just so many times to just give in. Just be like, all right, my body's right. I need to stop. It's so incredible to watch people not quit.
The work rate's different between the two events, though. I'm sure if you're out there for
totally
stuff, you're like in La La Land. You're like, oh, what am I thinking about? And in a marathon, you're like, my whole body might explode for a full hour.
Did a single person in that course run a single step faster than like 5-minute mile pace?
Yes. That start was
the start was
faster
stupid.
than
You're
the
right.
start Logan and I had just a few weeks ago.
That's true. Yeah. So yeah, they're different intensities, obviously.
Much different, but worse.
Yeah, I mean,
Like yeah, I think it's worse.
you think it's worse? I mean,
could you imagine the New York
ventured
Fire
into this.
Department opening the fire hydrants and start spraying the lead guys with water like every once in a while as they go by? That's brutal. These
It's
guys are just getting so,
Because they're
I know.
known commodities for him. Like people are always like, what's the most painful race? I think it's all relative. It's whichever one you're not quite prepared for, but are fit enough to survive. Because all the others, it's a known commodity. I can work at this work rate for this amount of time, and I miss by a little bit. It's going to blow up, but it's only going to hurt for however long. You know how long it is. Everything's an unknown commodity at a 24-hour race. Because you don't know if your pacing was correct until you cross the line. It's mental torture, I think.
So let's talk about the men's side real quick. Some stories outside of Austin. We talked about Austin and Michael Schutt. We had Matt Gill finishing 6th. We didn't talk about him in the preview. Isaac Sanderson finishing 8th. He was also someone that we weren't sure were
I'm
was going to run.
impressed that he made it that far.
Yeah, absolutely.
Want to talk about range? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Joe Rucco, did we touch on him at all? I don't think so, right? So
this was the most heartbreaking moment I've watched in sports in a long time.
Fill us in.
Joe Rucco was in 4th in closing. He was taking like 10 to 12 minutes per lap for the last 4 laps out of oh my goodness.
Fiore was right in head.
Yeah, Josh had a good.
And then he had saved up some obstacle bypass bands, and he got around him without Fiore knowing it.
Oh,
Fiore crossed the line in 4th, thinking he was 3rd, and then he saw Rucco standing there and was informed he did not go top 3. And it was like such a perfectly executed race by Rucco, and Fiore did a fantastic race as well. And then in a moment had it all taken away at the finish line. It was like this stark contrast, and it was really hard to watch.
That's tough because Josh had run. He was up there for a lot of it.
He let out.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's another one. I was like, I don't think I like this that he's winning because I drafted him, but it didn't even matter what happened in those draft results.
Yeah, I got 3rd at Dallas Stadium last year, or 2 years, 2021, I guess. Thinking that I finished 3rd, and then someone in the heat behind me, I go up to the award ceremony and they say someone else's name. So I know that feeling, but it's nothing like a 24-hour race with all that competition. That's horrible to have that feeling.
And he ran so gutsy and so well. He was moving really strong. He was one of those that on the screen, like 5 hours in, I was watching him thinking, I would not have a chance. Ever a prayer running against these. Sometimes you see people and think, I wonder if I could do that. He was moving way too strong, looked way too good, way too deep in the race. He went out hard and he ran so tough, and it was taken away from him in like the last 12 minutes of the lap, maybe less, maybe last 6 minutes.
Let me pose a quick question to you guys about this event. Could World's Toughest be like the most viable option to grow OCR? Like, should they just niche down even further?
To get eyes on it, I think that makes sense. I don't think the casual person is willing to do more than a 4 or 5 hour event. Like, never mind a 24-hour.
What do you mean by grow it? Like, have more events like this?
I mean, I think because participation, right? They've already tried to do the mass participation. I think in terms of notoriety, like, is this the route that the sport could be considered legitimate outside of just the people who do all of the events?
I don't know. I think it has the most YouTube appeal in terms of like the documentary last year by MBD. Having something that someone can sit down and watch and be inspired and in awe about. That I think it fits very nicely in Spartan's little paradigm here. They always had you've done a sprint, now do a super. We have this trifecta, and it was genius marketing, and it still works. People chase trifectas. It's a made up thing, but they chase it. This can be the ultimate, like, You start on the couch and you progress through. And when you're ready, here's our big boy event at the end of the year that like, this separates people. I think from both ends, from the YouTube perspective and from the Spartan, spectrum of how you progress. I think it does make sense in their ecosystem, but will it capture the audiences on like a yearly basis? I don't know.
Or could it exist something like a Barclays Marathon or
Yes.
like things like that where, this is not like OCR is not going to be something that is ever going to be in the public consciousness.
This is in
Right.
Western states eventually, or UTMB. It's never going to have that
Well,
notoriety.
Well,
I mean,
but
maybe
that's not either. That's not in the public consciousness.
That's what I mean. Maybe it could
I-
be. I think that could be ultimately the pinnacle of the sport if they could reach some type of notoriety to that level where elite athletes and like sponsors are all like kind of rally around this event as opposed to a 3K championship, a super champion. Like instead of all 1,000 championships that we have that are hard to watch anyway,
Mm-hmm.
why not just make it for the people, the real ones, the people that really want to go out there and challenge themselves?
I think it's the best version of OCR to bring to like the pinnacle of the sport, like to be the UTMB, because it will forever be an equal playing field. Like if you train enough high-end runners, we will all be obsolete out of the sport of OCR.
Right.
They won't all stick, but like there's more of them out there than there
Standard
are us.
OCR, not ultra.
Standard.
Yes.
Okay.
Standard. Any version of it. I truly believe any version of OCR that exists, you will train all of us out of it if you just get enough high-level runners.
You get 30 Gregory Basilicos in the field. Sorry,
Yeah.
we're done. Yeah.
Yeah, because for everyone that drops out, there's going to be one that's good at it and wants to stick, but that will never happen at World's Toughest because it's too grindy of a race and there's too much intangible needed that they will always be equal plane. You will always have someone like an Anthony who can come out and be a splash for 6 or 8 or 10 hours. And then you're going to have people like Austin who don't care about the first 6, 8, 10 hours. And then you're going to have some Anthony's that I believe like he could try it again next year and the year after and eventually win it.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll never be all people with his pedigree or faster that just wipe everyone else out. So I think it's the perfect meeting ground where every year there's a new story of 5 new pros coming in versus the incumbents and what's going to happen. And it will always be a question mark.
At this point, how many pro runners who are like serious haven't at least heard of OCR? Do you think that they're out there?
Probably. Yeah. Right,
I mean,
right.
yeah.
But you're right. Like most people are, they're become aware of it and they probably laugh at it. But like to Bracken's point, this is its own thing. Like it doesn't overlap very much with anything. Like, yeah, you could say ultra running, but not really. A looped course with obstacles and this type of mud and these type of challenges. There's nothing really like this where even to like everything in OCR is very adjacent to trail running more or less with some grip strength. 3K, it's not veering too much outside of what we're doing in hybrid, So I just don't think that like this stands alone to me.
Yeah. You could pick the top 10 in any event in the hybrid OCR scene just based off what they've done prior in other venues. And I don't think you could ever truly predict how they're going to do at World's Toughest.
Any last thoughts on World's Toughest 2023?
I did have a question. So GPS files are all out of whack. Some people are showing like 8,000 feet. Some people are showing 18,000 feet. Do you know what it actually was?
No.
Per lap?
No, not per lap. No way, 18,000 per lap at Dallas, Texas. I'm
saying, do you want to know what it was per lap? Because that'd be the only way to find out.
Roughly.
I don't.
No,
Oh,
I don't know.
okay.
There
was a huge variability. I was thinking like if some people had 8 versus 9,000, it's like, oh, that's close. But like once you're doubling the GPS for,
you can get mud up and you're watching it does screw with the altimeter.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was
That's
like
a good
200 some feet per lap.
Okay.
Oh, that was it.
That's what I thought, but that was just from studying.
That's something over
grainy
5
map.
miles.
Yeah.
I guess that's not a ton.
Yeah.
Moving on. Greece trifecta. Wait. First, I killed everybody in fantasy again. Everybody just got murked.
No, I beat you.
Beat me once.
So that's not murking me then.
On a
didn't-
tiebreaker.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
No one ever walked out of an overtime last second win and be like, we crushed them.
I do. That's what I say. No matter what. A win is not a slim victory. A win is definitive no matter what. Updated scoring, updated results. I didn't have the leaderboard updated because I wasn't sure I wasn't winning. But now that I am winning, I know what it is. So I'm winning. I'm 9-5. BK, you're 7-7. Jack, you're 5-9.
nope, that's not correct. You have me and Bracken switched.
Dude, you've been 0-8 the last results. How could you possibly have 7 wins?
I'm not 0-8. Bracken, I had 26 points when you had 18, and Bracken had 69 for OCR Worlds 3K.
Oh,
And I had
yeah, I did.
Yeah. I went 2-2 during those.
you went 2-2. Oh, I had you as.
I got shut out at OCR Worlds.
Yeah.
You got
And I
shut
could have
out.
spoken up earlier, but I like this dynamic that's going on right now.
So it is switched. Okay, great. So BK, you're in last. Perfect.
Well, it's not totally switched.
Well, if you want a little
So
graphic,
I'm not
I have it.
8. The last 8. I just beat you. And I didn't take last at World's
You only had
Toughest.
2. You only had 2 wins.
Here, Rich, enable screen sharing. Let me do that.
You have it.
I've got a graphic for you guys.
All right.
Now he's back.
Yeah.
Sun's coming up.
Either way.
I don't know if that means I'm back or if I'm out. All right, you guys ready for this?
Let's see it.
Got the scoring.
All
Oh
right.
my goodness.
Oh, Kirk, he's out.
RIP. So we've got all of our scores and then the win-loss records after every single week so that we can keep track of it. But yeah, right now 7-7 me, Rich 9-5 first place, Bracken in third place is 5-9. But yeah, you did win the tiebreaker on.
And tiebreaker,
was-
we're just doing the sixth finisher.
Yeah, so if we look
Yeah.
at Trifecta Worlds,
Let's blow it
so-
up.
Do it.
Let's blow it up for the people on their smartphones.
It's
Okay.
about as big as it's gonna get.
Yeah, I'm trying to show all the numbers at the same time, but you guys got 23 for your top 5, and then the 6th person was Bracken, 8th place, and Jamie Nunn in 12th for Rich.
Who
Thanks,
was
Bracken.
my swing vote?
The athlete you coach.
Federica. After all the name drama,
Yeah.
Federica came through for me. You know, she reached out.
Oh yeah,
She sent me a DM.
She said, "You're welcome."
I apologized. And she's like, listen, I'm just trying to put myself out there this year with the big dogs. I'm not sure if I'm there yet, but I'm going after it. I'm like, that's exactly what you got to do. And she comes through and secures me the bag.
Did the thing for you.
I thought Peter Vernicki was going to end up being the person because he was pretty close with Thibault Jean for 9 and 10. And that almost made the difference. And I was like, then we're getting in that gray area on whose pick was it technically.
Screw
'cause
up.
Bracken-
Well, if I would have had Julie Best, I would have.
Oh, you would have won.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
She wouldn't have
That's
performed for you.
fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
She was ready to just coast it in, knowing that
I mean, she
this
would have
is all over.
tried. She's
Yeah.
a champion, but she and I are a pairing that bring out the best in each other.
Well, this is great, Bracken. If you end up losing this whole season, that would put you,
If-
all of us,
yeah.
have a loss. So we'd all have to eat the pizza. So we have this always ends with Spartan Worlds. We're gonna draft today for Hyrox Chicago. Then what else did you have on there, Jack?
I've got Hyrox Chicago, each of the 3 distances for DECA solo event, world championship. So fit, mile, and strong. And then if we can get Stockholm and Abu Dhabi.
We can't draft for all 3. You think that's a lot of drafting?
We just did for Trifecta World Championships. And I don't know. We'll,
Yeah, but
we'll
that's
figure
one
it out.
result.
We'll do a
Yeah, they all
DECA
declare
World-
for all 3 races, though, for trifecta.
Yeah, no, we'll do a DECA World Championship somehow.
Might just be redundant. Might
Yeah.
just be redundant. Yeah, maybe we can figure something out.
Yeah.
But I think that should be one score.
Okay. So 2 Hyroxes, a single Deca, and then
Hyrox
Abu Dhabi
High.
3K. And then Abu Dhabi is going to have a Beast Championship as well. Lesser prize money, but all the people are doing it. I don't know if we're gonna. Lindsay said she's doing it, and same as others, but we'll probably focus on the 3K because that's what they're giving the most money to.
Okay, so my question for the Beast Championship is this a world championship?
No, that's
It better not be.
Where does it rank? Is it more or less than a regional championship?
I mean, is that going to give Lindsay 5 career if she ends up winning it, or
No.
What's the label? And who's eligible?
What if Atkins? I don't know anybody there. I guess.
So it's the best beast runner of the 3K field.
Yeah,
Is that what it determines?
that's stupid.
Or
No
will
one's
local
showing
people
up.
still travel for that alone, and not
No.
if they're not in the 3K?
Zero chance.
You're doing both, definitely.
Huh.
But like, we're not going to see, just like
World
Tyler
Championship.
Veerman's not just going for the beast.
Maybe I will.
Maybe BK will be out there.
Oh, did you
Get
say
that
beast?
chance.
Yeah. I was going to say the beast distance on sand.
You almost got
Atkins
lost
is-
in the Sahara forever at that time. So not the Sahara. It's in the UAE, but
That's all right. You're tired.
You're just saying names of deserts, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Kilimanjaro.
Tanzania. There we go.
All right, let's talk about this trifecta. I just want to talk about how much butt I'm kicking, and I'm going to continue to kick that butt. What I stopped doing was preparing for these drafts. So that's
Way to go.
That's
That's
secret.
my approach.
I know.
You're
Now
stealing it.
I steal it. Now you're taking my old results. I'm taking your previous results.
You took the Wildcat from me. You weaponized it.
It's a copycat league. All right. So on the women's end, we had Lindsay Webster taking that W. She ended up winning by 12 minutes by the end of the thing. Esther finished second. BK, hit us with that last name.
Kortabagiova.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Jessica Velasco Ruiz finished in third. On the men's side, we had Gregory Basilico winning by like 90 seconds or so. Rylan Shadag was in second, and then Ryan Atkins finishing third, rounding out the podium there. Any real surprises here? Is this almost chalk?
I think that as much as I liked the format in the past, having like the time trial format, essentially, where you have a little bit of a gap between the next runner, I think it robbed us of the women's final that we wanted to see. When Lindsay starts with a 3-minute gap, you don't really get that battle that was so close in the super. Like Esther took Lindsay down. Granted, Lindsay had a failure, I think the balance beam in the super. But that would have been such a compelling race. Instead, you just have a, non-dramatic 12-minute difference for first and second, and it really didn't affect the standings because people were so far behind her in third. So that kind of was disappointing. You at least had Rylan and Gregory start 10 seconds apart or something like that heading into the beast, but they run such different races that you knew it was going to be a cat and mouse game from the start. And I don't know, I think that it would have been cool seeing Atkins and both of the Lucas and some of the other racers who did well in the beast at least have an opportunity to start together. So originally I was a fan of that format where they send them out separately, but I think it robbed us of the close races this time.
It does. And yet, as much as I've debated this with myself this weekend after feeling the same way you felt, what I come down to is that that's industry standard. This is just stage racing, and it's what it is. And you don't tune into stage racing for a standard race experience on day 3. Even though in our sport, we feel gypped that we didn't get Esther versus Lindsay in a long distance race because they never face each other ever. That's why we're feeling this way. But in normal stage racing, like, this is just what it is. We just rarely get them in the same realm, and we wanted it. I don't think there's a great answer for it.
But when it's 12 minutes, I mean, what does it matter?
But, Esther was 3 minutes plus off the line. So, how do you know?
9 minutes?
I know. And she had some failures, but then it's like, how do you pace accordingly when someone's 3 minutes ahead? Like, what you think is fast might not be what Lindsay's actually running.
That's what I've been screaming, and I don't think it's an advantage. And it turned out it didn't really matter because Gregory, how much time did Gregory have to start the beast?
Low teens at most, so 10 to 15 seconds, I think.
Oh, that was it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh,
It was pretty close.
Did Rylan catch up right away?
Not until one of the coolest obstacles, in my opinion, was that's when you saw them both in the same picture, very close. The sandbag carry, drop it, pick up a chain, drop the chain, do the sandbag carry. That was when they
it's kind of a staple that they've had, right?
I like it. It's innovative.
That's where Hynek smoked woods a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Iconic. Get that chain.
Of the two events this weekend, which one gave you more FOMO? Which one made you think I would do this sometime in the future?
Greece, absolutely.
I don't know.
Did you get any FOMO? Did you get any I would do that, Rich? Or is this just not your itch to scratch?
Realistically, I feel like I would do WTM before Trifecta, just because I'm going to be retired no matter what it is, and I'm just going to do something for fun, and it would be WTM and not this one.
Would you do WTM not retired if it were a team competition?
I don't think so. Maybe if it was us, we went down there,
get Kirk in there also,
get Kirk in the field, and we just did it for fun, and like we were hanging out and seeing the vibe. I'm interested in going and experiencing World's Toughest, as like even just to go like to cover it or just to be around it. That's what I'm a little bit more interested in that than this event in Greece.
Okay.
You?
Bracken, you didn't answer.
I don't think I can choose. I think they're both firmly on my to-do list.
It's like I'm on this fence. I'm gonna sit here. I don't think I'm gonna go either side. I won't.
Greece, I would do at the drop of a hat, depending on. It was just like, are you in shape to do it? You don't want to go out there and just hate day 3. But World's Toughest would take like all of your focus for a year minimum.
It could be one of like 2 or 3 races you run the entire year, and we
or
all
just
like
zero focus and just go out and goof around.
It's one or the other.
Yeah.
If I woke up tomorrow in shape to do the trifecta, I would sign up for it right then. But World's Toughest, you either have to go for it or you just got to go out and party.
Yeah, right. And that's what I'm more interested in, that, especially as a competitor.
I don't know, like a 60-mile party that doesn't
Not
turn
party
out well.
party.
That's
especially if it's gonna be warm.
Party.
If it's like, coach the DJ out there just putting out hits,
spinning.
Dude can spin it. He's been out at Hyrox a couple times now, and it's just like he's just playing the hits, getting people moving. I'm interested in that.
I'm definitely leaning towards Trifecta, and just looking at it, it looks like Rocky Mountain trails that we have out here. So that's at least something I'd be able to train for and feel comfortable on. It's not like I'd be going into the rainforest at some other iconic venue and be like, whoop, well, I have no idea how to, train for this back where I'm at for humidity and everything.
Shoot or shoot, Jack. Fitness is fitness. Shoot or shoot.
It's true. Yeah.
You'd be great in a rainforest.
Sure, I would.
All this, the canopy above you blocks the sun.
That's actually good. Yeah.
That's true.
Shoot or shoot.
Guess I'm going to Costa Rica for FISO next year then.
Speaking of, did you see their Arctic race is quietly canceled? It's December in Antarctica or whatever. It's just not a thing anymore.
In Antarctica.
They're going to do obstacles down there?
I don't know. They did Kilimanjaro and
What would it be? Like the penguin slide and the barbed wire ice roll? Like what
I don't know.
Yeah.
Got canceled. Didn't
it's
see
been pushed to 2024. So
sure.
for any of you still planning on it, you got to wait a year.
Dang. It's either that or World's Toughest Mudder. Yeah.
So Atkins still gets the podium here. It's been pretty clear that he isn't in fitness like he has been in the past, beating some pretty good names like a Luca Piscalderone and Luca Pisani. There's some good Pavel Hodin. There's some good names that he still beat here.
And he failed the balance beam, so he had to do a penalty loop with the chain, and that probably took like a minute 15 or so, it looked like.
That's an obstacle we don't need.
Balance beam?
Yeah.
See, I think that we don't have anything balance related, and like I'm not the one.
We saw
talking,
like when we were preparing for.
I was gonna say, and I'm
games,
I'm not doing this solely for myself, because I'm not great at balance obstacles.
We've uncovered.
Yeah, I don't think it would be a bad idea to add something like that. Like the only time I've ever really seen it is
they can't
Spartan race stadiums.
But like having it be a penalty for something that's so anticlimactic and like if they could make it mandatory completion, then okay. But to then have to pick up a chain and do like a big loop and have it like be part like ending someone's weekend of triple races, like
well, they seem to have like scales for their penalties. I don't know if you saw at the end, Jessica, when Velasco Ruiz, when she failed the rig at the end, they had only a few minutes of coverage on not the top two women because they had such a gap, but she had to do probably like a 2-minute penalty, carrying a chain, going under a wall, over a wall, a couple times, and like it was a pretty long, like a 200-meter thing with that chain. And I think that was like a penalty fits the crime, because that was a 5-segment rig, and if you fail that, that you could just drop off and do a normal 200-meter penalty loop. That's not really punishment fits the crime. So I kind of like their penalties there.
Jack's a percent of winner guy. I'm a punishment fits the crime guy. So I love hearing him say that. On a 5-second balance obstacle, you shouldn't be able to lose 2 minutes.
Right.
Because it's not a normal test of what Spartan Race tests. So bringing that in doesn't test fitness. And so you shouldn't be punished with fitness. It should just be an inconvenience. Like, now you have to get out of the water that we fell into and move over to the side, and you're going to lose 15 seconds, and now you're cold and wet. Sucks for you. But yeah, punishment's got to fit the crime.
I'm with that.
What do you guys think about the carries? Because that was something Lindsay talked about, Esther talked about. Like, a lot of the athletes, they were like, wow, these were some carries. And, not dropping a weighted implement for 8-9 minutes in a row for the best athletes. And they had that triple stage carry that we talked about with the chain and sandbag, and they had another carry. Yeah, that, like, I thought it was very well balanced, and it just seemed like a super well designed course overall.
Rich, question before we answer that. I see you've got the yellow lights going on your mic.
Yeah.
Have you figured out yet when they're green and when they're yellow?
No. And I don't know. And like both of you guys are inverted in terms of, I was trying to push this under to see if it would flip, and it doesn't seem like we didn't fix this like this, right? Like, it came with the position. Like, I can't flip it around.
I took it all the way apart to try to put it on my Yeti stand. And so then I put it back together and I put it this way so I could just touch the I don't want to be like fumbling around the back side.
I'm looking over the top. No, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, yeah. It's definitely volume based.
For you?
I'm looking at it on the backside, and it's going up to 5 or 6 dots when I talk, and as I get closer, it's more.
Oh, and then okay. If you touch the volume / mic, it changes color. Tap it.
Oh, because it has the ± display on there.
It's
like a sensor. But yeah.
Riveting. We have these great mics. Thank you to our Patreon members. We just wanted to bring that up again, and how crystal clear, awesome we sound.
Best running public one ever, right? Quality
easily.
Yeah.
Best overall episode, best overall quality, hands down. Only second place to the double threshold episode. We have the top 2 best episodes now.
I checked numbers. You are tied with Hunter.
In terms of guest appearances?
Yeah. But anything he can do, you can do snarkier. Nice. I firmly believe that.
I think you're right too. Is it toward 10?
5. That's
it?
I know it feels like more.
Feels like more. I'm going to have to double check. I'm going to check your numbers.
But with numbers, that's your
our
game. Head and Shoulders biggest episode of the year is the only one I'm not on. It's really depressing.
That's
taking my ball and going home.
We should try that here on Race Brain, see if it's a trend.
Yeah,
careful.
Put Lisa on this episode. We'll see what happens.
See how that
careful
goes.
Though, you might learn something you don't want to learn.
That's true.
Or we do want to learn.
Let's keep it moving. So another question. Should this format, because we like the format, right? The stage racing format. And again, in an attempt to separate OCR from other sports, should everything just be trifecta weekends? Should all the championships, should all the series be stage racing?
No, that leads so heavily towards the endurance athlete. If you're adding it based on your total completion time following the beast, it's like, what happens if you just pop an amazing race in the sprint and super, and then you make Richard Heineken and suddenly
then it's an endurance sport. Then it doesn't need to be all of the things, because then it just overlaps, and then it's like, what? Okay, cool. You're good at a 20-minute OCR event. Like, what does that even mean?
Then you're turning an 800 runner into a marathoner, and they might not have the success.
They wouldn't participate.
They
would do something else.
What is the shortest race we have? Not counting 3K.
What's
the shortest sprint? Yeah.
25 minutes?
Yeah, and even that's rare, but let's call it 25. And then what's a standard beast now? Hour 40?
Yeah, 2 at the most.
Yeah, 2 for
it's the same engine.
Just make
You
it
might
up.
shuffle a little throughout it, but it's not an 800 runner and a marathoner. It's a
Right.
5K, 10K guy and a 10K half marathon guy.
Like
That's
Atkins
really
still
what this
wins all the
is.
races anyway.
So I'm on board with Rich. I think that if we've done away with the big epic mountain beast world championship, I think a trifecta weekend championship makes more sense. And if you do want to reward the short distance athlete, then you really are going to make Jack cringe, but you do a standard point system.
Hell no.
First, second, third, fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to whatever the last place is. And it's your cum for the weekend. That would reward consistency, but it would also reward having like a big race in one and just okay in the other. You don't have to choose that, but I kind of think now that this shows who the best overall athlete in the sport is, having to prove it in more than one race. Otherwise, you just put someone at altitude in a mountain who's like, all right, we tested one thing. This tests everyone.
And in a race that like the variables change, like a missed balance beam, for example, right? Like the consistency of how well you do in these races will ultimately make you a better athlete throughout the course of a stage race. You know, like there's different things that can go right, go wrong. I don't know. Just talking out loud, just saying things.
Would that dilute it if you offered this 3 times a year, 4 times a year in the US, same in Europe, same in Asia Pacific? Like if you had all these number of stage races, would that prevent people from wanting to go to Greece to actually do it? Or do you think that it would just be better for the bottom line?
I mean, there's
Greece's World
only
Championship.
14 women participants. I mean, what are we talking about? Like, I think
Maybe
it would
drives people
expand.
to it.
Elite.
It would probably drive
elite.
people to it.
Yeah,
I know, but-
national, regional, Greece is worlds. Maybe
then
it
you could have-
drives participation.
Yeah, then you can have regional. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of age group athletes that were like, "Damn, I wish West Virginia was a trifecta championship for North America or something like that." You know, where they would actually like going over to Greece to do something like that. It's a tall order. So giving out more opportunities to do these races, and then again, it just differentiates our sport instead of just like trying to do everything and not really having an identity. It's like let's just double down on something. Just pick something.
I like the idea of doubling down on being even more niche.
Let's do it.
I like it. You're selling me, Rich.
Rich is leaning all in on like the ultra side of the sport this time. This episode.
No, he's
There's
leaning
nothing-
goofy. Let's be goofy.
Let's just be goofy.
I know, but you were saying like World's Toughest Mudder might be the best way to get eyes, and now you're like, let's format it so that we have a super sprint and beats in the same weekend as like the big draw in Spartan. So that's more on the ultra side as well. So
I think it's a way to differentiate the sport. You know, like
yeah,
like what
It's
Brad
not a
was saying. It's like
terrible
30-minute
idea.
racing.
If you had to ask the layman to name one mountain or trail race in the world, what are your most common answers going to be other than I'm sorry, I don't know one?
I was gonna say
They're
none.
going to be Western States, Leadville,
Mhm.
UTMB. In the US, you might get Pikes Peak. What if you ask them about name the 5 most popular Ironman locations or races? You're going to get Ironman Hawaii.
Kona immediately.
Kona,
yeah.
That's it.
And so if you think about what they all have in common, they're the biggest versions of the sport. They're the longest. They're the most arduous because they're easy to sell. Maybe that is the way the sport needs to go. Trifecta weekend is bigger and longer and more arduous and more epic. We can't sell a 3K. We can't sell a beast in the sand. We used to be able to sell Tahoe, big mountain altitude. I'm not helping myself here at all, but like maybe Rich is onto something.
If you look at the schedule, there are so many trifecta weekends. Almost everything has it these days, and
Because it makes the most money.
But they go in the opposite order. So they'll do a beast, which honestly I feel is different because we're used to running long first and then shortening it and getting more intense later on, which I think is kind of stupid. Usually when you're fatigued, you kind of don't want to go deep in the pain cave and in the faster races. But normally they'll do like a beast on Saturday, a super Sunday morning, and then at 11 or 12 they'll offer the sprint. Again, is that the way that you would do it? You'd keep this as a two race weekend culminating in the sprint, or how would you go about it?
I think so. And it's just in terms of like travel and accessibility for people, like this 3-day race, who like that was the problem with the 3K, right? People showed up, no fans, only like people that could take off work. If it's just a Saturday, like people do the back-to-back races Saturday, Sunday anyway.
Yeah.
Just throw a sprint on the back end or even push it later into the day if they need to. Yeah, I would keep it the same.
I'm always torn on this because I feel like if you put the beast last, it allows the fast people to be fast early and use their strengths.
Mhm.
Run the sprint in the morning, run the 10K in the afternoon, first wave, last wave, and then let the endurance athletes play. Like, give the sprint people their sprint when everyone's fresh. Let's find out who's fast. And then when everyone's tired, let's let engine win out. I think that makes the most sense from like a physiological standpoint. But from the race weekend, let's have that big beast day one. It really shakes out most of it anyway. And then the sprint's an afterthought. And if you got any left, you go burn it. Like, from a structure of, I don't know. I think I would rather have it get done Sunday morning and let people travel than make them race again at 11 or 12 and then have to go travel.
That's
two
true.
on Saturday where you haven't had a night of sleep yet, separating the races. Just get 2 of them done.
Yeah.
It's you're doing the 15K in theory, because 5K plus 10K on Saturday, and then you know you're not as beat up heading into Sunday. Of course, you're going to be beat up from 2 races, but
6 to 8 hours in between is what I would put.
Yeah,
I would make it
8
a
a.m.
true rest.
3 to 4 p.m. I'd say.
Another thing that just is interesting for something like this to me is oftentimes when we have these conversations here, we look to other sports, how they do their qualification systems, how they do their point systems, how they do X, Y, Z. We don't really have that in OCR, right? It's like there's nothing that separates us, because it's like we try to do everything. There's different things, and it changes every single year. So if you can just be like, oh, everything is a stage race, it's like this is how we do it, then we could really figure out the best way to do it over the course of several years and have sort of a blueprint. It's like, oh, you know what they do over in OCR? They race them all everybody races all the distances, and that's how you win whatever. It could just be a differentiating factor. It might not be the best. It might not, but at least it would be ours.
Yeah. And I think that if you do the beast first, the short guys can't do what they normally can do,
because they're fatigued from a longer.
But if you do it, the short stuff first, they can still do their thing. And then the long distance people get rewarded. So after listening to all that, I would reverse what the normal trifecta is.
Short
stick
first,
with the grease format,
like the grease format.
grease
I think so.
option.
But I
think
combine
that's fair.
Friday, Saturday into one.
Yeah, and then it takes the longer distance athletes would have some fatigue built up into them. Like if they start with a beast and they put on 7 minutes, like it's like over.
You're not making up 7 minutes in a sprint.
And then like people will see that and think it's stupid. But come to the shorter athletes, and you know some of these longer athletes fail something on the other things, you can have a little bit more strategy, hope. Yeah, a little bit more hope, and try to push people out of the comfort zones.
What would you do about
keep it a 3-day if you want.
Yeah.
Everyone's traveling for a long time anyway, but in between, I think it's so important that it happens on the weekend. I think that's what we keep getting confronted with, is that Friday events don't work for our sport.
Right.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about the staggered start if we were going to implement our format? Do you like everything about Greece with their order of events, or do you just send everybody off at once on the beast and then you just have to have a good enough margin of victory on your own?
I don't like people having to do math after they cross the finish line.
Because didn't that happen in the stadium?
Anticlimactic.
That happened with Killian and Isaiah once, where like you needed to win by X amount of seconds in order to win the stadium series or something like that.
I think for stage racing, based on aggregate time, you have to stagger on day 3, and it just sucks, but that's what it is. But if you do it on points, if it's just if cross country sticks, then everyone can start the same, and you just run for that stick.
Right, which would be less fair in terms of the performances put out, but it would definitely balance things out.
And you might have dropouts also. Like you saw it with Richard Heineck and Ethan Brown and a few other athletes who ran both of the first 2 events, and they're like, I'm not doing the beast. And suddenly 6th place might have been 9th place before, and you just got 3 free points. But I don't know. That's for another time.
Any last things on Trifecta Weekend Championships? Gregory
Basilico is fast.
His first World Championship in OCR?
4th in Abu Dhabi a couple of years ago. I mean, we saw
3 this last year.
Yeah, I think he was 3rd. I think he was leading heading into the beast, and then like he fell off Twister, and it was raining and everything. I'd have to rewatch the highlights, but I thought that he was in the lead heading into the final day.
Shout outs to me for taking 1, 2, and 1. I'm just cooking
Yeah.
right now. This is a good sign for this
Shout
race
outs
this
to
weekend.
Elisa Petrova and Richard Hynek for not finishing.
Gregory runs differently. He runs like a runner.
Built
He
different. He
runs
looks like
the
a
way
runner.
Yeah, he runs the way you see people running on TV. He just looks faster than all the rest of us. And then it just cements that Lindsay's just the best. Like what over you give her enough time and she's just going to end you. Like you don't get to make mistakes against her, but she gets to make mistakes against you.
Right.
She's just the best.
It almost stinks. It almost stinks how good she is. This would be an interesting format for Emma.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, like have some speed out there. This course isn't crazy, especially this
Nicole,
past weekend.
bring her
When
back.
it would be great for Nicole. Yeah.
And
Lindsay's
this
too-
isn't shots at Esther because she beat Lindsay in
It's
one of the
amazing.
she executed. She was right there a couple of years ago with Nicole. She was within 10 seconds starting the beast as well. The issue is that Esther screwed something up. She was actually winning 25 minutes into the sprint over Lindsay. So if she didn't fail, I think 2 things in the sprint, they could have been right next to each other and not had that 3-minute gap. We could have got
And Lindsay would have won by 10 minutes.
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
Lindsay was sandbagging for sure.
So
Imagine
good.
you could just have the ability just to chill in those first 2 races and just be like, everyone else is working way harder than me.
I was watching that and I'm like, man, I've been cameraman several times. This would have been a tough one. This keeping up with her. I would have been on the card a few times. I do have a question for you. Speaking on like looking like a runner, Esther's form, obviously, we've mentioned the shuffle. I timed it. What do you think her cadence is? And this is on like 5 or 6 different points throughout the race. And I did it early on, middle, and mostly on
195.
regular terrain, like fire road stuff, not technical. So just here is her running cadence that she does.
192.
You said that because I said 195. 195.
I never got her below 206.
What in the world?
I got her up to 234 in her sprint finish at the end.
Wow.
Never never
stride
out
length.
of the 200s.
Stride length, not
One
probably
foot.
not probably less than advantageous. But hey,
I was like,
he's efficient.
I was
That's
like,
efficient.
Bracken, maybe that's what I got to do in Hyrox. I'm just going to do 210 steps a minute and just do that this weekend.
Let's see. I'm gonna pull up my my last races. You guys, I want to see what you guys hit.
Oh, I'm
For what?
probably like 172 to 174. Look, it's going to be lower because you're stopping and stuff during obstacles for your race.
That's I don't know if I have that on like for a
Rich,
decade or
you
something.
have-
Mine's probably closer to 190 while racing.
I was going to say you're above 180. Absolutely. You have some of the
mine-
faster cadence.
I'm 180 just on like a regular run.
I went above 200 twice in Michigan.
Two
A sprint
steps.
finish.
Start line, sprint finish.
Okay.
Actually, 3 times going down a steep hill.
Yeah, not too far off.
Imagine doing that for 3 hours in a row.
Shuffling along.
Crazy.
Jack,
it
you got
works.
Unreal.
a spreadsheet for us
For the draft.
for the draft? It's draft time.
Mile race I ran this on the roads, average 184.
Okay, that's solid.
Peak 202.
Yeah,
Peak
Kicking,
202.
I peaked 4 steps per minute slower than her beast cadence. That's wild.
How's that even real? Yeah. That's something else.
what the? Oh man, you got the graphic up for
You got
the
the
draft too. You
you like the new format for it,
I'll
more
make it-
color friendly.
We're sitting here making fun of you for being late. You're just doing work, making everything better for us. Thank you, dude. I take back everything I said. Most of the things that I said.
Yeah, I wish I could take back yesterday for work, but
You stayed up till 4 a.m. to put together this brilliant graphic for those watching
Yeah,
on
oh, yeah.
YouTube. Take a look.
it's worth it. Yeah.
So we
Jack-
are
Before we get started, I do want to say I thought of Jack this weekend.
Oh,
just once.
Just one time specifically
Once.
about this.
Oh, okay.
I was watching in bed one night The Italian Job. And Seth Green in there is sitting there with his reddish hair at the laptop controlling the traffic lights to pull off a heist. And I thought, Jack, if you ever do want to get out of your industry, you take your traffic light knowledge
That's
and you bring
true.
it to the heist game.
I can't even tell you the number of times that Benny and VJ and a few other people have messaged me and been like, I'm sitting at this signal and I haven't moved for like 3 minutes. Do something about
Help.
it. Like I've got phone calls from people. I'm like, what do you think I'm going to do?
I think you know the inner system and you could get in there, and I think you could put this to good use.
I could open the control boxes, which most people aren't even aware what they are. Usually there's like a 4 to 5 foot tall metal box somewhere 30 feet off the side of the road. A lot of people think it's just like a utility thing, but that's usually for the traffic signal, and then they bury the cables nearby. I could open that thing up and mess some intersections up if I wanted to.
That's right.
Do you think Jack was like Seth Green and Can't Hardly Wait too? Probably same character in high school.
Haven't seen that.
Yeah.
You got to get on it. That's you. We are about to experience firsthand.
He is like Seth Green in Airborne. And very few people are going to get that reference. Mike Day's going to, but that is a deep dive because there's a rollerblading reference there.
Oh my God. I hope he was wearing knee pads in that.
No.
Oh, Seth Green is wising up. We're about to experience the first Hyrox major of all time. This is the first year that they're doing their 4 major championship system to help qualify for the World Championships. Top 3 athletes in this race will receive an automatic bid to the World Championships as well as an automatic bid to the remaining 3 majors. So it's a pretty high stakes race here. The Elite 15 field is like, we have a general idea of who is in it. So we're going to do our best to guess like who's all going to be there. We have a decent idea just from chatting with people here or there. And we're going to draft it. So we have the 15 athletes that will be arriving in Chicago to race on Saturday. Men are around noon Central, women around 11 or 1:15-ish, 1:30-ish, sometime after the 1 p.m. hour. We got the homies Jack Bauer and Bracken Crocker throwing down doubles. We're going to be on site. It's going to be exciting.
Let's not short sell yourself.
And I'm in there. I'm in that race. Coming in.
We didn't need a roll down to get in, but we're still happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy for myself as well. So we're going to draft for it. We do a draft format where we snake format, drafting the names. We will, just like we've been doing the past several, whatever. This is great because we know all of the names more or less. So what are we going to get? We get 5 each gender.
Yeah. You want to do a 5?
We'll score top 7.
Check this out. Scoring top 5. Oh, it just whited out some of the other stuff. So now we know where to pick.
I'm lost on that feature, but I'm sure it is just fantastic.
It went from 10 to top 7.
Oh, cool.
Right, yeah. There you go.
Damn, dude. This is next level stuff right here.
I'm just assuming if you pick, because there's 16 men, if you pick one of them and they're not there, you get the person who is there instead of them.
We could do that. There's like, yeah,
sure.
Same with the women too. Like if we pick someone we're just wrong about, you get the other person. Yeah, I think that's fair. But there should be 15 people at the start line, barring some sort of like illness or injury, last second type of stuff.
Yeah.
And Jack and I are going to be there, and we're already loose from the morning, so we'll fill in.
Did you guys see the course?
No.
Not yet.
Did they change it?
So previous years in Chicago,
they're doing something different.
It's a massive hall, right? And you would walk in, and right to your left would be kind of like the festival area, the warm-up area, and to the right would be the start of the course. This year, that entrance crosses over the course, and the course goes all the way behind the warm-up. So it's 1.5 laps.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's good.
Rock zone. Huge. It's going to be a long rock zone, but it's going to be a smooth rock zone.
And it's the same kind of way. Like the entrance appears to be where the exit was last year. So you do come in at the top and then you run basically to the bottom. So it's essentially 2 full laps without with the rock zone in there.
Nice.
But then most of the things are directly at the bottom outside of the sled pole. So, and that's where like the Elite 15 area is going to be, is just going to be like right at the entrance. That's where they're going to put the bleachers, it looks like.
Okay.
But all the other zones are pushed to the back of the rock zone. So coming out of the stations is directly to the out.
So the warm-up area is inside the track?
And that's how they are often. Most of the Hyrox tracks do circle the
We have
entire.
small venues.
They just have smaller venues.
And we take a bridge, a walkway, UTMB style.
I don't believe so.
How do you get in?
Elevation change.
You just have to wait for there to be a clearing.
I was hoping for a bridge.
That potentially, I can't say for sure, but that has posed some issues. Like that was a big thing in Spain. They were like, in Spain there was so many freaking people that they're like the crosswalk, as you could say, is crowded, and like there will be pedestrians like kind of running out in front of you.
For sure.
But you guys are early, so you won't have to worry about all that.
We are first, I believe.
So if you don't think the crowds are showing up to watch us, you are misinformed.
Bracken and I are going to be the first finishers of the day, actually.
Yes, sir. We'll see. Shall we do wheel of names?
Yes, Rich.
Gonna take this over.
Never no reason to do that.
Correct.
Stop share.
I'm just grabbing it from you. We see it?
Yeah.
You ready? And we're spinning. We're spinning. Whoever gets this gets to pick their drafting position. That looks like it's Bracken Crocker. I haven't thought about how to draft for this at all.
No. We got the names this morning. Ish.
All right. BK, what
Bracken,
do you want?
what are you doing?
I liked that 2-spot last time.
2-spot?
Yeah.
Ready.
This is really unprofessional, but I am going to pee my pants. So I'm checking out while you guys do your wheel thing.
Right.
I thought he was just going to sit there and pee.
Yeah.
That is fairly unprofessional.
Definitely has happened before. Come on.
Looks like your boy.
I'm
going to go ahead and take third.
in a tough spot.
I was thinking that same thing. So if you want to take a full look at who is available or who will be running this, I mean, we're going to talk about all of the names, but there's a pretty convenient tab on the Hyrox site. You can go under the results and it just says major qualification. So you can see all the way down to 30. But at this race on the men's side, we're not going to see a good amount. We'll just cover this. We'll talk about this because, well, BK is relieving himself. We're not seeing the defending world champion and world record holder Hunter McIntyre. We're not seeing the 2021 world championship Tobias Laudvin. We are not going to see Jeffrey Voisin, who has been Elite 15 the past 2 years. Then Florian Gast will not be there, who is 11th. And Tom Hogan, who has been Elite 15 qualifier the past 2 years, will also not be there. We won't see Michael Sandbach, who finished third in this race last year and third at the European Championships as well. And that's really the names that won't be there on the men's side. So they will not be drafted on the women's end.
If we go back to the men real quick, so there are 4 confirmed North Americans out of 15.
5, I believe.
David, Dylan, you, and Kent.
And Rylan, I think.
Oh, Rylan. I didn't put him on the list. Okay, my mistake.
I believe Rylan is also here. Yeah, put him instead of do you have 15 on here? Instead of Martin.
16.
Martin or Harry, we're not sure.
Okay.
Harry's in front of Martin right now. Martin has traveled.
line.
Harry's in the UK. I don't know.
Okay.
You're drafting both, essentially.
Yeah, you get
that's
either
true.
or. You get
Okay. Rylan is on the list now. So
Rylan is really a wild card here.
he is. You can't count him out, even though like it's going to be it's a Hyrox trifecta weekend, international travel back for another Hyrox. He's been over there for like 2 weeks. Like he's
going to put himself into it.
Oh yeah.
Which means he could win it or he could hasten his blow up. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's going to be very interesting on that end. On the women's side, I don't believe Miriam Van Roer will be here. I don't believe Chris Rugloski will not be there. That's the last race in the Savage Series is this weekend. If you're interested in that, check that out. I do not believe Yanae Thompson is going to be here. I don't believe Belle McFarland, who finished third at the World Championships last year, will be at this race.
Is she dealing with something?
I don't know. I haven't heard really anything. I just think she took some time off from training. I think that she's just like being intelligent about her training and being like, this doesn't need to be 12 months. And I agree with her. And I agree with her. She has that auto qualifier, so she has the ability to circle one of the races in the spring if she wants. And I believe that's all. That's all I really know.
No Jezebel Kramer coming over.
I don't believe so, but maybe.
Yeah.
But maybe. That'll be flipped around. Let's get to drafting. Jack Bauer, you're up.
Number 1 pick. I'm taking the person who I'm sharing a hotel room with the night before, Ryan Kent. I think the man is on.
Yeah.
The man is on fire right now.
Spicy.
Yeah. Didn't he won Chicago last year, right?
No.
No, David Magida did.
He blew up big
okay.
time.
2 years ago then. I'm getting my years confused. When he beat Hunter. But bottom line, Kent's in crazy good shape right now. I'm definitely supporting him.
I'm glad you took him because I've taken him like the past 2 times. He lays an egg whenever I take him. So I'm happy to not have him on my team. But he's in really good shape right now.
Yeah. You did a workout with him recently.
He's going to be ready to rock. And he's confident. He's dialed in. I mean, this is like his 3rd-ish real year to kind of figure everything out where he's been doing this full time. And he's really is locked in on what's working for him and how to approach the race. And he ran 59 flat solo in Dubai at like 80% fitness. So he's only improved from there. So I like it. In this field where who knows on the men's end? This field on the men's end is really wide open.
Yep.
In a field where you feel like a lot of people have a chance, I think he's the scariest one to deal with.
I agree.
It's a good pick.
Good pick, Jack. BK.
That's what I do.
Well,
I'm going to take the
Well,
scariest one on the
recently.
women's side, which maybe isn't a definitive pick because there's 2 really scary athletes, but it's disrespectful to whichever one I don't take, but I cannot not pick Lauren Weeks. So I'm taking Lauren.
I was going to say, if you steal RMR from RMR.
Yeah,
I would only have the last R.
and Meg Jacoby has every right to be picked number 1 overall, but I had to pick one of those 2. And Lauren just has so much championship race experience, and she just always finds a way. I think Meg has a higher ceiling. I truly believe that. But Lauren's floor is so high. We just have very little to go off for either of them in a Hyrox this year. So it's who knows who's ready for it, but Lauren's going to run the same way either way. I'll take her.
We saw Lauren run 59 something in Dubai as well against Michaela Norman.
Unreal.
So, and I mean, you're right. Like she is the defending world champion, 2-time.
Yeah.
2-time world champion. Last two years she's been at full strength. So passing her up would probably be a mistake.
You're wrong to pass up either one of these.
Then I'm taking Meg Jacoby.
Yep.
And I'm happy about it.
It's a good 3rd pick to have.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Heck
This is like
yeah.
getting Atkins in the 2nd round or outside of the top 2. It's like,
Again, whenever I draft Atkins, doesn't go well. Meg's gonna crush. In good shape. Her second full season at this time last year, I think she had like 1 or 2 races under her belt. She is the world record holder with like a 58-51, I believe is her time. Decavit world record holder, Deca Mile world record holder. Oh no, Deca Mile got broken. But she's just a beast, right? And this is going to be the matchup that we're going to be excited to watch all year. It was so exciting to watch it last year, where Lauren got the best of her at European Championships. Meg ran an extra lap. Meg ended up 2nd to Lauren's 3rd at U.S. Championships. And then they finished 1-2 with, I think, only like 20 seconds difference at World Championships. So it really is a toss-up.
It's a pick 'em.
It's a pick 'em. It is a total pick 'em when it comes to what we would do for the odd makers. So it's going to be really exciting to see these 2 go at it. And like the way that they run, like Lauren runs very aggressive out front. And Meg's tried to match that in the past. And I guess we'll just have to see if she can take on that blow this year or if she's going to be a little bit more strategic, kind of let her go and kind of run when we saw Michaela Norman beat them both at North American Championships last year. Like, what's the best way to kind of go about racing against someone so aggressive up front? My second pick, I'm going to take Alex Ronkovich.
Ooh, got the European Kent and the North American Kent.
Sure do.
Both off the board.
I've got the North American one.
We have them off the board. They've both been picked.
That's one day.
When you look
You are
at what Alex has done in all of his Hyrox years, he's always been, every world championship he's been a part of, he's been on the podium. I don't think he finished third that year. Kent got second. The only time he didn't finish on the podium was that silly Elite 12 that they did, where it was like 6 men, 6 women,
They
and
invited Adam Klink and
most of them were influencers. Yeah. And they just didn't invite Alex, who was on the podium the year before. Year after, they were just like, nah, this guy, we don't need him. But extremely consistent. He has the third fastest Hyrox time third fastest athlete of all time behind Hunter and Tim. So he just knows how to do it, man. It's going to be interesting. He didn't fare very well last year coming over from Europe, but we'll see this year.
But he was leading.
I don't think he was ever leading. It was Sandy, and then all the Euros got whacked by the sleds.
Oh, yeah.
Alex was back in like 8th and rallied to get, I think, 4th.
I was incorrect.
Now your pick.
Oh.
Make my life easier.
I would have taken this man without second guessing a single thing until I looked at his Instagram this morning and he was vomiting. So I don't know what it's going to do other than make him rest this week. And maybe that's all he needs. So give me Dylan Scott fully dehydrated and fully rested.
He showed himself vomiting?
Not showed it, but he said his little kid
story
was puking and now he's puking. He woke up puking this morning.
I think he's just sick.
Weird Instagram post.
I gave him such a beat down in fantasy football this past week, but different story.
And yet the champ reigns supreme.
We got a terrible showdown between me and you, BK, this week. We both have big time buys.
Half of my team was on bye this week against Jeff, and the second half is against you this week.
Yeah,
I had the second most points this week and got and lost. So
I had the second least points and won.
Yeah,
you got to win ugly if you're the champ.
You're pulling a Jeff. All right.
Dylan, just real quick on Dylan. I mean, he's as good as he's ever been. I think at this moment, we had a real big letdown at Worlds last year. Not indicative of like his lifestyle or anything like that. I think it was just like factors traveling. May have been sick then as well. So he ran 58 40 something in Sweden. So I think he is a really solid pick for this top 3 spot.
He's the example of someone who's only going to be better after disappointment. The fact that he's even talking about tapering and thinking about how he needs to come into race week, that's growth. That's not what he was doing last year.
He has Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, half of Saturday to feel good. I mean, this
could be
forced taper might be really good.
It could be fine. Yeah. Unless it's something that he remains sick, but usually stuff like this is like a 24-hour bug.
Yeah.
It's not ideal.
No,
I don't think it's the end of the world.
Nope. I think he was in terms of highest podium odds. If he wasn't sick, he was probably right up there with Alex right there. Okay. My picks, I am going with the woman who I think is on fire this year, Vivian Tafuto.
Nice.
Just set the deca-mile record not too long ago, and she's just been having a really stellar season. She was 4th at Worlds, I believe, last year for Hyrox, 4th or 5th.
Yes.
Always gets overlooked. Somehow, isn't really talked about with the likes of Meg or Lauren, and I get it. She's just behind them historically, but I think she's ready to make that next step up. So I think she will end up on the podium this week. Oh man, now I've got back-to-back picks and I don't pick for 6 more. This is tough.
Pick 2.
I'll do 2. Yeah. As dumb as it sounds, no, I'm
take them.
No, I'm going Camilla Massa.
Oh wow.
I think it's probably earlier than you two would have picked, but same deal. She's just been on fire this season. She's the only one who's broken into the top 15 with a new time this year. Granted, some athletes haven't raced yet, but that means something considering we've seen a lot of athletes try and haven't put up the numbers yet. And I just think she's really confident and fit right now. You've trained with her, Rich. So what do you think?
I was hoping that she would be there for my pick. I was almost had her written down. Her commitment is at a different level. than most athletes that I've come across. Her and Luca, the way they approach the training, it's super well thought out. They do all of the little things and all of the big things. And Camilla's just seeing exponential improvement as an athlete because she's new to this still. You know, she was not an endurance athlete. She was not an athlete really at all. She's a mom of 3 and has found this new life as an athlete in the past 3 or 4 years. And she has the fastest time this season. So, and she's like top 3 ranked in DECA. And those were in events that was like, I didn't see her doing necessarily that well in. So her speed is getting better. Her engine's
she was like
better.
leading DECA also, like with some big names there.
She
beat
would
Meg.
have probably, she beat Meg. She probably would have beat Vivian, but she ran past the assault bike and had to run back to it. So yeah, I mean, that's a really good pick.
So I agree with all that. And I'm going to take the person I thought he was going to take, Alondra.
Another mystery. Like I probably would have taken our next round. We just haven't seen her as peak Alondra since she kind of had that snafu at World Championships, right? There was some sled
And I think
issue.
that was going to be peak Alondra. And I think it had to have just eaten at her. And we're just going to see her finally unleash for the first time and get that taste out of her mouth. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I think she's going to do here. And so I think that she is the 3rd place finisher this weekend.
Can't rule it out. I mean, she's a fearless competitor. She puts it out there. She has a tremendous engine. She's super strong. And last year at this race, she did run down Lauren Weeks, and Lauren just rallied at the end. If you come in to wall balls with Lauren or Meg or Michaela, really, you have to be unbroken. And she just wasn't. So she finished at a very close 4th place at this race last year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys know something about Michaela that I don't know?
I think we're all gun shy that she's not recovered.
Yeah.
I think she's coming. I haven't seen a definitive thing that she's coming. Like the list I'm going off of is
Heineck us.
I'm not getting Heinecked. I'm going America.
I mean, she ran a 60 flat in Dubai.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's not
the
not
right
like
call.
Her fitness. The thing I'm going off, like in the sheet that I was sent to fill out my information, there's a section for footwear sizes. And I think that's a new section from the previous list that they had last year. So basically anybody that had a footwear size in here, I assumed was coming. And hopefully we get some shoes, BK. I should put in your shoe size. What do you like, a 9?
13.
Right in between there.
Right, somewhere
right in between. 10.5.
10 and a half. 10 and a half. I thought it was 10 flat.
I'm a 10 and a quarter, like as the crow flies.
So I looked at
you're 10 and a half, how I'm 6 foot.
Yeah. I looked at Michaela, and she said she's doing reps with her Spartan Ram, saying prepping for DECA Spain in Tenerife on November 18th. So next weekend. So no info on Chicago necessarily. Doesn't mean she won't be there.
I thought at a point she said that she was going to go to all the majors.
Yeah.
So did Hunter.
He says a lot of things.
That's my point. No, he never said all the majors, but he's changed his list a few times.
I gotta take her. Give me Michaela Norman here.
I mean, if it hits, it hits.
If she shows up, she's not getting 6th.
I know.
And even if she does, I get that value.
That's right.
She could end up on the podium. She could win it. Like, we don't know. She could not show up. I just wanted people who I know are going to be there.
She's 1 minute behind Lauren in the only sample size for either of them this year. And if she finishes 1 minute behind her here, she's going to be 3rd.
She's going to be on the podium. Yeah. Right. And now I'm looking at all, like, the women's fields, everybody's, the top 5 is pretty much accounted for. I'm looking at these dudes.
A lot of men left.
I'm looking at these dudes, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Give me Rich Ryan with this pick.
Oh, look at that. Let's hear about him.
I'm just like, I don't want to be passing these guys and hurting my fantasy team, toward the ends. It's not something I want to do. It's not something I want to do.
You're going to be playing Pac-Man with no regrets.
Yeah. This is just win-win scenario for me here. So realistically, I mean, these guys on here, there are some really good names that, but a lot of them I haven't really competed against, so I don't have a true grasp. There's probably one name on here that I should have taken now that I'm looking at in retrospect, but we just haven't seen like anybody race. You know, we've seen Jonathan win, we've seen James Kelly race, and those are guys who I feel like I'm in the same ballpark as. So for me, I gotta take me, bro.
Yeah.
Got to. You back you.
But
what was the call when you found out you were getting selected for the Elite 15?
I was emailing them again. It's like, hey, you know, it's less than a week away. It's about a week away. What's going on? She said, you're in. I said, I'm in. I just put my hands up. I said, let's go to work. So yeah, but the way I'm gonna have to race is gonna have to be the Dylan Scott approach, the David Magida approach. If I go out and try to bang at those sleds, my sleds are definitely gonna be better.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not bulletproof. I can't be out there pushing a 230. I could, but it's still gonna tax me pretty heavily. So having my legs, being able to run up through the pack is gonna be my route for sure.
Spoiler alert. Yeah.
I like the look. I like it. All right. In this, based off of who we've seen this year, I should take Rylan. But if there was ever a reason for someone to blow up in the race, it would be that they just completed a trifecta weekend and did overseas travel and went out aggressive. And so I believe he can win this race. I believe he should and could podium this race. But I also believe that it could just catch up on lunges. And there's going to be a whole bunch of people closing on lunges. And so give me David Magida. We've seen what he can do. And he's starting to do it more frequently. He's really big right now. He's getting his running back. I think that's when he's at his most dangerous.
He knows how to run this
How's his
race.
back? Yeah.
You know, like a U.S. course, like the U.S. sled style.
Mm-hmm.
He's shown patience and
Long
his ability to be high. We're not exactly sure what his high-end running is right now, but even his floor as a runner is very high. So yeah. I like it. Defending North American champ, going as a 5th pick or something like that. So
yeah,
good value.
Only U.S. qualifier here. Yeah. 2. I've got a lot of good picks left.
No, I'm saying you get to make 2 good picks right here.
Yeah. I won't screw it up. I believe in Rylan. I'm picking him.
Nice.
It's getting to the point where someone had to.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not going to get him back in 6 picks from now. And what he did in Trifecta World Championship, we saw him do well in Valencia as well beforehand. He beat some of the people on this list. It's like the guy's a freak at the moment. Who knows when, you know, he'll really need to take an extended break due to injury. But right now he's riding that fitness, and I feel confident picking Rylan here.
Can't rule him out. It's just like you could be coming off of world's toughest mutter, and you still gotta be like, I don't know, man. He's still he's got something special.
He's got a puncher's chance. And the last time Jack called someone a freak on here, she won world's toughest. So trends hold.
She texted me after that and loved your reaction. So
BK drop some dimes in there if you're paying attention. Are we gonna draft? Let's draft. Are we gonna draft everybody? We want to score 7.
Let's do it. I think 7's the way to go. We'll just skip the
wild. You just want to flex your sweet spreadsheet.
Whoa!
Oh snap! Look at that.
Check us out on YouTube. Subscribe. Share with a friend.
Yeah. You like that shading when everybody gets picked? It automatically fills in their gender and stuff. Makes it easier on me.
Who said you're not artsy? You know, you see everything as binary.
Look,
this is creativity out here.
I'm so artsy that I grayed out Kurt right there. He's like part of the crew, but not really. So
we probably could just crop him out of that, huh? I don't even need to.
I will get him tattooed on my back if that's the case, and then I'll keep a mirror.
I'm gonna have
like the Steve-O tattoo.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some cropping then just to get that tattoo. All right, next pick. I'm going with the guy who has the 2nd fastest time ever, and he just did a marathon relay, and I think their group ran like 2 flat and 4 seconds. Just missed breaking 2 hours. Tim Vanish.
Well, there is a useful stat.
Yeah.
How
It
many
is?
people in the relay?
4.
Yeah, was it 26 people?
Yeah, no, it was 4. It was just a funny thing because I saw it in a group chat. It was like, oh look, setting another record
Really?
or something like that. Yeah,
He was part of a group that all ran like
That doesn't seem right.
4:30 something for 6 miles each.
yeah.
No,
No,
impossible.
it's not. Think of the runners that can't run 4:31 pace
They
or
can't run.
4:36
They
pace
can't run 5 flat.
68s.
for 2 miles.
Unless
No,
it was
he
a
was
mile at a
trading off
time.
on 400, so he got like 6 minutes break in between.
Oh, I thought it was 4 by
No.
6
I
mile.
think they were just doing it on a
No.
track, right? So they were
Right
running
here, yeah.
430, 800, 400s. Like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
I believe that.
Munich relay run, and this is
I didn't know they were running 400 on.
Yeah.
1 to 3 rest ratio. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So this stat means way more to me now.
Florian Gast was
Still doesn't
also
mean that
part
much.
of the group. So
Still
yeah.
means very little.
I know.
Well, can we redraft then?
I know
that I know
that's
this.
the determining factor right there.
Well, that's really the athlete I should have taken instead of myself on that last one. But
If you
hey,
can go 6 by 400 in 68,
6 by
3
400.
minutes rest,
It's like
Yeah, how many
11 by 4.
and then repeat that 3 more times.
it's only 11 by 400.
No, it's more than that. I was getting my math wrong. So it's really like 40 by 400 because it's about 40 kilometers. No, wait, my math is so wrong. I got no sleep last night.
He's got no sleep. Get your time calculator.
6 miles each,
Okay,
24
so
quarters each.
it's about 26. So yeah, you're right, Bracken. 26.
At running
2.5.
68s with
Yeah.
that much rest.
5
3
minutes
minutes.
break. Yeah,
3 to 5 minute rest.
we could all do this right now.
That's really not great. It's good. It's good. It's not great.
I know.
Not as like, oh, it's not great as in it's bad.
Talking
It's not-
about
it's
it,
not great as
talking
it's,
about
like,
it's
good.
not as impressive as I thought it was. But I saw the post. I'm like, I got to mention it if Tim actually gets picked by me. So there you
We
go.
haven't-
This is why people tune in right here.
This
This
is-
sort of deep dive stuff we
Oh,
do.
yeah.
This is we haven't seen Tim yet this year. When Tim's at his best, like Jack said, second fastest athlete of all time with like a 56.0. He's tremendous as an athlete. He's really good on the machines. He's a good runner, obviously. He can run 24 by 400 at 68 seconds with 6 minutes rest. But we haven't seen him this year. He had to pull out of the World Championships last year due to an injury, and not exactly sure what his fitness was. Granted, that was 6 months ago. So if you give him 3 months to recover, 3 months to train, he should be in pretty good shape. Had a hard go at Chicago last year, similar to what we saw with Ronkovic, where things just kind of went backwards after the sleds. But he has that year of experience now. He has an idea of what it's going to feel like. It's just a matter of how much these European athletes are really going to consider this based on what they learn, or if they just like, hey, it's just a one-off thing, which sometimes in Hyrox it is.
Yeah.
There's no
never know.
guarantee that these sleds are going to feel heavy this year the way they did last year.
I just saw her like Michaela Norman, or him like Michaela Norman. It's like too good to leave in round 5 at this point.
Like I
not
said,
pick 'em.
I should have taken him. Yeah,
Yeah.
I should have taken him 2 dudes ago.
He's to the point where we're not shocked by anything. Like we've seen him fall apart. And so if he takes 7th, we're going to be like, yeah, he just had a tough go. But if he wins it, we're going to say, yeah, he's the fastest guy here.
Yeah.
Of course he
right,
won.
right.
So
It wouldn't be a surprise.
no,
would
it wouldn't
definitely
be a
not
surprise if he wins it.
All right, bragging.
All right. Give me JK.
Dang. I just
James
said in my
Kelly.
brain, I was like, I'm taking James Kelly here.
I thought you would. You and I both have some intel on him since you've talked with him recently and I've talked with him recently. And I think we both are thinking the same thing, that he's about to pop off.
He could very well. He could very well pop off.
Super.
I'm not
talented.
going to spill personal conversations, but the gist of it was that he was not peaked for what he did recently.
And he's been
Like he-
59 and change 2 races so far this year, and had a doubles attempt. Not that much faster than BK and me, but
A win's a win. Rich Ryan said it.
he's ready.
Yeah.
He's ready. I mean, this is his second year going into this, so it's another full year to kind of wrap your head around the training and how to approach it and how to approach the racing. Beat Ricky Garrard's butt. Third
Former
fittest
top
man
20
on
ranked
earth.
athlete in the hybrid pole.
Yeah.
He's
the
probably
sun.
top 2 fittest in his city, just like Nick Riker, and that means something.
It's IG worthy.
He's an interesting guy because he's new to all of this. He's not like, he doesn't have Rich's running background or Hunter's fitness background to that level, but he's a really cerebral guy. And he thinks about, you talk about, Luca and Camilla trying not to leave any stone unturned. He's kind of the same way. He may do it a little atypically than a lot of different people, but he has a system and it's well thought out. And those kind of people really have a chance to boom on race day when they've tried to focus on everything. He's not going to get surprised by the course.
No. And the question on JK is he's never run on US soil.
Yeah.
Right. So he's never had a chance to really kind of feel this. He's run a couple of UK races, which are similar, but I think UK courses honestly are slower because the venues are so small that like the run courses are always less than advantageous for these athletes. And the sled seems to run a little bit slower, but again, it could just be because of the venue size, like the carpets are wet or whatever happens because of that. But we don't, you can't tell. We don't know. And it's international travel for him, but he traveled a bunch last year and really didn't have a problem.
Yeah, he did well.
Back-to-back Rich.
I'm up. I'm going to take Linda Meyer here. Are you guys seeing my team? This is crazy. Linda Meyer was former world record holder. She set the world record twice last year, breaking Lauren Weeks' record and then breaking her own record. And then Meg subsequently broke that. And then Michaela broke that. I have all the world record holders, guys.
You do.
The past 3 world record holders, they're on my team. So
soon to be Rich, making a number 4, right?
Yeah. Linda had it. Broke Lauren's. Meg broke Linda's. Michaela broke Meg's. Meg broke Michaela's.
So Lauren's about to set the world record as well.
Lauren did everything she possibly could last year except have that world record. So yeah, Linda, she seemed to have had some kind of injury later in the year last year, and it set her back. She was really poised to have her best year yet, even though she did finish second at Las Vegas in 2022. So, I mean, she has experience. It has high level fitness. We haven't seen her race this year. So again, it's a question very much similar to Tim. She's the kind of the female version of Tim Vinish right now. We don't know. We don't know exactly where she is in her training, but she has the experience and the high end ability to pop off.
Mm-hmm. And she's, contrary to common belief, it is Linda Meyer, not Linda Blair.
It is not Linda Blair, the female lead in the original Exorcist.
That is a low point of my commentary career.
And like that happened a lot. That wasn't just a one-off.
That was frequent.
Over and over. Like I felt like I was having a stroke. I had no clue what was going on. I was in Quaaludes.
You were, in fact, possessed. Something happened.
Oh, yeah.
We're not far off of Halloween. Now give me Graham Holiday.
Graham Holiday. Well, you made my decision slightly easier because there are several gentlemen that are kind of on that same tier. And Graham's got the credentials.
Finished 5th last year. I mean, he's been disrespected so far in where he's been taken. I mean, what number of guy was it? Is this he's like the 9th guy off the list, and he finished 5th at the Worlds last year?
Mm-hmm. He's only had like one race over 60 minutes ever, right? I thought he'd like just jumped into the 50H right away.
No, he actually had a big ascension from the previous year. He was like a 69 guy, and then took a ton of time off between 22 and 23.
Okay. I thought last year, like, he just came out and it's like, wow, where did that come from? Or he's like this next superstar and just kind of figured it out.
He's a very big dude, very muscular, very strong. So US sleds could be an advantage for him if he approaches them correctly. Again, haven't seen him in the United States, so we don't know. And he doesn't know. So that's the one thing going against him. Not an extremely fast runner, which is just worth noting, but it hasn't really affected his results yet, finishing again 5th in the world.
5th in the world.
So yeah, I like him. Is keeps improving. So let's see it.
We're at the point in the draft now where there's all really strong athletes who are trying to guess how their skill sets match up to this course. Like you said, he's a big, strong dude. He would be considered like a power puncher. Mm-hmm. But power punchers don't always like getting punched. They always don't handle it well. We don't know with him. We haven't seen him get on a heavy sled next to other people who are going to attack a heavy sled. Sometimes when you're the
Uh-huh.
biggest guy in the room and someone else is doing something impressive and looks big, it's like, oh, I don't feel so big anymore. Or sometimes you find out you are the biggest guy in the room and you put everyone down. Like look into some of the other guys, like who I might pick next, Pelayo. He's a closer. He rolls the second half of these races, but you also have Magida who's going to do it and Rich who's going to do it. And you have Dylan who's going to do it. Except when you are the closer, are you the closer when other people are closing? We're at that point where we're trying to match skill sets up and it's really hard to decide who's going to do well. But Graham, I think, has the skill set of the people remaining to do the best. And I think to do better than a lot of people taken ahead of him.
For sure. For sure. Like I said, like we said, our US bias is obviously shining through on this draft as they're all off the board. But the athletes who are running have PRs faster and have placed better at the Worlds have not gone yet. So that's how we roll, though.
Yeah. At this point, we're basically saying, like, if you're going to run 58 minutes, are you going to run 58 and a half or 58:10 or 58:50? Like, we're just, pulling at straws at this point.
Graham had the third fastest sled push in Manchester last year. So he can push that sled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's going to do very well.
Behind Hunter and maybe behind Hunter and Alex. Yeah. But not American.
I have a soft spot for Pelayo. I really do. But there are 4 other people like him in this race.
We don't know if he's going to be in this either.
Don't entirely know. So I'm taking Eugenio Bianchi. Bianchi. We haven't seen as much of him as some of these other guys, but I've liked what I've seen. And I always get on to commentators who keep saying, "Oh, they're so comfortable out there. Look how comfortable they look." We have no clue, but he looked comfortable doing it. We can only read into what we've seen, and he didn't appear to ever be on the verge of cracking. He looked like a guy who's out there just doing his own thing, which is what you have to do in Hyrox. So I like him. Plus, he's bald, wears a backwards hat,
representing for the squad.
Look at
he's
my
going to go out
CR guy.
He's going to go out just like Rylan.
That's my main concern with Eugenio here is that he's never raced in the United States.
He hasn't been punched yet.
He might get whacked by the sled because he can push these the European sleds. He's done it in like 230, 220s, 240s. If he tries to do that, I don't know how well it would go. But again, these sleds might not be the same. We haven't even had a U.S. race this season, so we have no idea if they've adjusted anything, right? Like they might have, and these sleds might move amazingly aggressive.
I've said this before, but the last thing you want to come into a Hyrox is having done a race that made it feel easy. And I don't know how easy his last one felt, but it looked it. And this is not going to be easy for whoever wins it. It just won't be. There isn't a hunter in this field who can go out and end the race and not have to empty his tank. This is going to get really bad. And we haven't seen him in that dog fight yet. We've seen him in OCR dog fights, and he does very well in those. So I'm hoping that translates.
Also skilled on wheels, like Seth Green's character in what was that movie? Airbud.
Airbud. All right. Yeah. Former roller skiing world champion. All right. Back-to-back picks. I'm going to go with Rebecca Mason. She's broken 64 before in the past year. I saw she's committed to traveling, posted about her race week taper. I think that she's a solid pick at this point.
I like it. Yeah, her PR 63.57, which was at Barcelona.
Yep.
And how did she do at the Worlds last year?
She was in the Elite 15.
She definitely was.
And I think she was like the age group champion before that, and then just kept improving, and now she's kind of in the Elite 15. I'd have to look up the details though.
Yeah, she finished 6th last year. She finished in front of Chris. This is a good pick with this value.
Yep.
At this point.
Yep. And then the other athlete I'm picking, I think he's just too good to still be on the board. Jonathan Wynn.
Yep. Absolutely.
This is the matchup we want too.
Yeah.
I was hoping Rich would draft him.
I probably should have. I could have taken him where it took me, and it's realistic. I mean, dude finished 6th at World Championships last year and ran an extra lap, when it mattered, like before lunges or something. Like he would have been 4th for sure, or I'm sorry, 5th for sure, and like still kind of didn't get caught by really anybody after running an extra lap.
Yeah,
So
just
he's impressive.
Too good at this point to still be on the board.
Is
And
the second fastest time of the year behind Rylan?
Yep.
Gave me that work in Madrid.
Yeah, Madrid. And just making sure, I know that we have the majors. We're not doing keepers for Chicago, right? For Stockholm.
I don't see any reason to.
Okay.
Yeah, nah.
I could change. Okay. Just making sure.
I lump him in with the James Kellys of the world and the Dylan Scotts. We're like, this is just what they do.
Yeah.
They are in on this. This dominates their thought process. And that's a hard thing to contend with.
Yeah, he's all in. He's shown a tremendous amount of improvement and competitive guy. I think he'll do well. And that's what I mean. Like when I made the pick several rounds ago, it's like it's a crapshoot. It really is a crapshoot for that. Honestly, that third spot, like the top two, you might think that Alex and Kent would be the favorites in that, but after that, it's like everybody's vying for that third spot.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to take Marcus Wallace from the slow heat.
Yeah. Everyone's out here about to get Wallaced.
I don't think I'm allowed to do that. I'm going to go with Tara Jackson.
Oh, I was like, I'll let you do it.
I'm just a Tara Jackson fan. I'm just going to endlessly pick her for my Hyrox drafts.
She peaks well.
She's just so good at everything. And I think it's going to have, like, I don't think she's put together a Hyrox that is anywhere near indicative of her ceiling. But she's going to at some point, and I'm going to be here with her on my team when she does.
Yeah,
I agree. I think that's a good pick that lasted long enough. I mean, but the thing is with, like you said, like, we just need to see it. You know, like she has some pretty good times, but in these championship races, it seems like she's kind of stuck in this like 7 to 10 spot. We haven't seen her quite break through the way that we would hope, but she seems to be in really good fitness right now.
Yeah.
New 5K PR.
Yeah, under 18, right?
She was, yeah. I think she was like 1740 or something, which is
38,
faster than
I thought.
38, yeah.
Could be wrong on that number, but I'm just Team Jackson. Keep me on it.
Yeah.
Just draft her every time until I can't anymore.
Yeah. It's impressive to PR, being a collegiate runner and then PRing in a 5K, like well after
yeah,
you've been out of college. It's pretty good.
Back-to-back Rich.
I'm up. I'm going to take Viola here.
Yeah.
Viola Oberlander. That is another great pick by me. I mean, if she finished second in that race behind Lauren when it was that Elite 12 weird situation on the assault runners and had the lead almost the full way through, she would have. She was the favorite the year Chris won the World Championships.
Yeah.
Ran an extra lap, didn't really show up for that race, but has the pedigree to really be in any race to fill out the top 5. So I wouldn't be surprised if she ended up there as well. And she's traveled a couple times so far. And then me again?
Yeah. Yep. Grab Pelayo here.
I'm taking the Spanish Rich Ryan.
Oh,
Alphonse de Ruiz.
You got double Rich.
That's my main dude right there. Alphonse. About to happen. He's run some pretty good times this year. Last year he came over to Chicago and did not show very well. So he has some international experience. He's going to understand what these sleds are going to be about, how this race is going to feel. But he was kind of one of those athletes that kind of fell way off the back. Another year under his belt, unbeatable in Deca Fit. Let's see if it translates over to this. And it's going to be a runner's course if it's these 2 laps. And he is more on the runner side than a lot of these other athletes are. He wears a tri-suit when he races. That's kind of cool, I guess. So he's in on the endurance stuff. And he, that's just my guy. I got him. I love it.
Then I'm taking the kind of tri-suit, purple-topped Rich Ryan as well, Pelayo Menendez.
You've mentioned him like 11 times today.
Yeah, he may or may not get in. Most likely not.
I thought I was going to go Viola and Pelayo for you, and then I was going to take Alphonse just to spite you.
Alphonse is going to be there. Pelayo,
He lives in Chicago, though, I thought.
He does, but it's the roll down. He's the 30th male, and
Yeah.
I was 23rd. I think there's one person that we don't know. Underneath, as far as I know right now, Paleo is not in.
But he's on the list, and if he doesn't show up, I get whoever that other person
You get
is.
the other person, right?
But he's just so fun to watch run that it gives me even more reason to cheer for him.
So fast.
He's really solid. He's really consistent. And he's what I love about him is he took the title from Dylan for guy you wouldn't pick during warmups to win a race.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have the structure of the typical Hyrox athlete, and he's a dog out there. I love it. So
You mentioned earlier that
Paleo.
he's like a closer. He's actually really not. He hasn't quite put together the back half of these races yet, but he can push and pull, like where he's like getting better, like one station at a time.
One race at a time.
Yeah, and it's like he can make it. The first time he made it to a sled pull, and then that knocked him out. The next time he made it a little bit further, and now he's
a
made
running
lunges.
closer.
Oh yeah, he can run. He can run. His stations still need a little bit of work on the closing end when it comes to lunges or wall balls, but everything else, like he runs tremendously fast. He's a sub 10 Ironman, I think. Right?
That's like Jesse Bruce.
Yeah.
Jesse Bruce is sub 10?
He was right around 10 flat. I thought he was right around 10 flat.
And that's really good, right?
Matter.
I know.
It's very good. Like if you're an age group athlete trying to be someone, you got to break 10.
Yeah. All right, Jack, what do you got? You got 2?
All right, we've talked about how this is potentially going to be a runner's course, and Kate Davey went like 31-0 for her 8K splits. So I feel like if it is in fact a runner's course, that's going to help her.
It's a good pick. It's a good pick. She's raced a couple times this year as well, so she'll be a little bit more familiar with the demands for sure.
Yep. And then last pick, I think it's just going to be easy coming down from Canada, Maria Fessick.
Good pick. Good pick.
What was her roll that she only had a couple to go? She was like high teens or so. So like
again,
maybe
we're
3
not,
or 4.
We think she's coming. We would imagine if she got that roll down, she would be there.
Yeah.
I mean, she was the same race in Spain that I was at, so she obviously cares about this.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen her in like a championship race yet, so she could be a real gamer.
30 minutes ago, Hybrid Fitness Media posted the athletes who are here, and
what do we got?
We got the guys correct. No, there is no Paleo.
Is it Harry?
So you'll get Ruben Patino Vietes.
Oh, Ruben's coming over?
Yeah.
Nah. I'm gonna swap him out for someone else then.
Paleo?
Yeah, the draft's not over. I can repick that.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it at the end.
The rules are I would have to take Ruben. All right.
Nice. That makes me the last seat. That's what I like.
Well, and somewhere Dave Claxton is applauding the Maria pick.
Is there a women's race? Is there a women's?
Looking at that right now. Yes. Yeah. Elite women.
There's not a 15th
15
yet.
is TBA.
So someone's gonna get that TBA.
Okay.
Last year they didn't even fill the field because they're stupid. But
so we've got who's left? Alina.
But I was mostly on point.
Yeah, Alina, Zara, Daniela. All 3 of the women are correct at this point.
Nice.
All right. I'm taking Zara.
Pronounce your last name.
Pirgiani.
Nice.
Pirgiani, is that how you say that?
Probably.
I said it.
That's how you say it.
I don't know how you say it. That's how I said it.
I mean, what I've learned is that the listeners in Europe really love our pronunciations, and I often get voice messages of how to pronounce names correctly. So
thanks for listening over there.
Let's keep it going. Yeah.
I think as long as we don't claim to actually know, it's okay. But when we speak with authority on things we have no clue, then you get yourself in trouble.
Then we're in trouble.
But that should just be everything. Because I mean, we don't have a clue about a lot of stuff.
Most things.
Most things.
We might have brain in the title. That doesn't mean we're smart.
Shoes. I've got shoes.
Mm-hmm. And hydration
and
hydration vests.
Hydration vests. Waist packs.
Waist packs. BK knows that. All right, give me Alina Villeneuve. I think this is a value.
Alina will now be off the board.
Mm-hmm. How about that? HBD. Yeah, so she keeps getting better and better. I think she only ran 1 race this year, and she finished in front of Zara. She finished in front of Maria. and in front of Kate Davey in that last race. So nice pick me again. I'm just laying it down.
Just Jack Bauered us.
I'm just
He
laying
picked
it.
someone and then said why specifically it's a better pick than the picks we just picked in order.
That's what I do.
That's probably a bad sign that I did that, huh?
No, Rich, you're confident on your team this time. So
Yeah,
We'll
but
see.
like
This is his space. This is his world.
this is my world. Look at me, Bo Wills.
all right, he is on the list.
I want Peter Schiller.
All right.
That's who you get then.
Yes.
Nice. I like that I'm last. Ruben would be he's a good pick too. You'll be fine with Ruben.
Yeah, I don't see Harry Thompson on this list.
He won't be. So you have to take Daniela, right?
No, I've got
Or you're
5
full.
women.
Who are we missing on the men's?
All right, I'll read it out. You look at the 2 men's columns. Alex, Kent, Megiddo, Tim, Jonathan, Graham, Rylan, Peter, James Kelly, Bo, Dylan, Alphonse, Eugenio, Ruben, and Rich. Who am I missing?
No one. That's 15.
Yeah, I don't understand how you're short a dude though.
Shouldn't be.
Jonathan. I only have 4 guys in my column. Does that mean somebody? Oh, you can't pick Peter Bracken once again.
Oh, BK did it.
Jesus.
I need to be.
BK.
I need to be guided.
It has a. You see this section right here when it
No.
says 6 of
There's-
5.
There's your
That'll
guidance.
tell you.
All right, Danielle Koto, and somehow we have enough women.
Give me Toto.
Know it all?
15.
Is
She's
Michaela,
TV.
is Michaela on this?
Oh,
No, she's not. Shit.
Damn. No, she's not.
got Heinicked. No. He got Petrova.
Got Petrova.
Yeah.
That's why
okay.
we waited
There's-
not to pick her.
There's
Dang.
no Michaela Norman. I don't know what to do about that then.
I guess
He gets the TBA.
Yeah.
That's the way this works.
All right.
Lame.
TBD.
That's what screwed up my whole draft right there. Ah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, who's
Now you
even
know what
on
it
this?
feels
Like, there's not the next American athlete is Talitha Schultz. So
Okay.
in 29th, so potentially everybody else is international, and then like they're not willing to go past the top 30 because
No one's good once you're 31st.
because that's just like
It's a-
that's where the software cuts us off on the
yeah.
on the website, so I
So
can't even
I
fathom.
I forget what
figuring
number
that out.
happens after that. Yeah.
So
Can't
do we
even-
bother with wild cards?
No, there are no wild cards. Everyone got picked.
Yeah, because you get the fill in with the
Still kinda
TBD.
like to.
Should we pick the men's
All right,
open?
well, I
The
get
men's,
first.
elite?
I get first wild card, I guess, because of the snake draft style.
There's no one to pick.
I'm going Paleo.
All right. I don't quite
I know.
understand what we're doing. Here.
I'm just doing this to mock.
We're just
Bracken,
being
but
goofy.
yeah. Goofy
We could,
games. Got to make it.
We got to make it a little bit goofy games. We got to pick a Marcus Wallace, an Azuri,
Yeah.
Norman
going, Bracken?
Woodring,
I
Colin
think Chris.
Stiefert. Go
Chris Rugloski.
Yeah. She's fresh.
It's
Should
true.
be there.
She didn't even hit 100 miles.
All right. I'm give me Chris Bob Brown.
He's got a donk on him. I bet he could push a sled.
He could, and he's as fast as they get. As fast as
true.
they get. All right. I think we've gone way too long today.
Oh yeah.
We had a lot to talk about. So
It's a big episode.
big episode. We'll make sure to loop you guys in on what's going on down the road. Make sure you check this out. It seems like they're going to have that same kind of coverage that they had for Worlds. So hopefully we could expect some higher end quality for all of these events. I think that would be amazing. That'd be kind of like unprecedented in our space in general is
Mhm.
live high quality coverage. We can hope that tells the story of the actual races themselves. So we'll see.
If there was ever an event that there's a capability for live high quality coverage, it's an indoor
In a major city.
station based loop running course.
In a major city, yeah, exactly. So BK and Jack will be there on site. I'll be on site. Whole squad's out here. I think Matt Davis is going to be out there. Media is going to be all over the place. So it should be fun.
What time you go off, just so people are aware? It's men at about noon,
Noon
and then
Central.
1:15.
I believe 1:15,
women?
between 1 and 2, I believe.
Your lunch hours should probably be dominated by Hyrox.
Definitely.
Rich gonna have a good race. He's gonna get the best back rub the night before.
It's gonna be good. You coming to hang out?
Come and hang on.
Nice. Roomies. I got that ball and spot. You know it.
Mm-hmm.
What we got on the running public?
Well, Kirk and I caught back up this week. He was gone last week, and then hit a few Qs, a few As,
Mhm.
and then we have a tomorrow. Actually, we're recording a day early, I think.
Ah,
Nah, it's still Thursday.
Never mind.
We have a guest coming on, but I don't announce them in advance anymore because that's
screwed
when
up.
the universe dumps on you.
did you have anybody Friday? It was me. Was it me?
We had Rich Ryan on Friday, and we got into what Hyrox has done for our run training.
Mhm.
You want to take it? You want to give us a little blurb?
We talked about how to improve your running while not running using machine-based work.
Yeah,
We
but
talked
not
for a
as
long time.
rehab, not as rehab, as added work to improve your running.
Cross training, straight up.
It's good.
RMR Training Podcast just had Kent and Meg and I just chalking it up. All racing this weekend, all in that Elite 15, just talking about where we are in our training. Just that's kind of what the show is now.
I got to say, back to your episode, Rich, with Bracken, you guys missed out on the ARC trainer.
Didn't BK talk about the ARC trainer a bunch?
I heard
I called it the Zero Runner, I think.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because Ryan Kent used to use that when he was hurt, and like a lot of other athletes, like Eilish McColgan, the really talented Olympic runner from Scotland, she does altitude camps in Colorado Springs, and she uses that thing for cross training all the time at
I can't imagine. I don't understand how she's not hurt literally every day of the week.
Yeah. But bottom line, ARC trainer would have been my pick.
All right. Zero Runner, I think, is the same.
Okay. That's what we use for the name.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's not the elliptical. Basically, it's a similar idea, but it has more of a running stride.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, fam.
I concede.
We'll see you guys soon.
See you, boys.